Welcome everyone to our December 14th regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. And we have already done a call to order, so we'll move to Pledge of Allegiance as soon as we get our flag up. And when the flag comes up, I'll ask Chief of Staff Royal Roberts to lead us in the pledge.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that, Chief of Staff. And we are moving into awards. Item 2.3. Chancellor, I will hand that over to you.
All right, thank you, Madam President. We have an award this evening for Julina Bonilla, Trustee and Board President, for her last year of service as Board President. And yes, we are very happy that you've been serving in this capacity. Do we have your memento? Okay, yes, you have to push it very close to the camera because of your background. Oh, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It is beautiful. So,
Y'all see it?
yes.
You can see me through it too.
Oh, that's neat.
Just to let you know, my grandson asked me what I want a trophy for.
So at this time, I would like to know if any of the other trustees have any words that they would like to share regarding President Bonilla's service, and if you would like to do so now.
I'll do that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank Julina for all of the time and energy she's put in over the course of the last year. This is, it's never easy to take a leadership role in a community college, especially with 4 colleges, but to do it in a pandemic where it's all Zoom kind of thing is exceedingly difficult, but especially she's got a full-time job. She's got a very demanding job, as that she's called upon to do, and a very important job for the Bay Area. And so she's been accomplishing both of them, and I personally strongly appreciate everything she's done for us.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for that, Trustee Withrow.
VP Reese?
Yeah, I cannot say enough. Just working next to President Bonilla and really just being able to kind of see her at work, I have to say that I am honored to have served with her. I am honored to have been able to kind of see how she leads. This has been the year of years. We all know that. That is not a joke by any stretch of the imagination. And you have done it with such grace, such leadership, such steadfastness and resiliency in a way that I don't know if anybody could have ever done what you've done this particular year. Truly, Julina, I know that I've said that to you before, but you need to understand that. And we've made your life crazy. Absolutely. And so I thank your husband and family for giving you up. And as Bill said, you have not just a full-time job, but there's so many things that you do in your other job, and yet you have never, ever paused in your desire for excellence in leadership at this district. And so, again, my thank you, my gratitude, and what an honor it's been to be with you throughout this.
Thank you. Thank you for that. My goodness. Thank you.
Trustee Gonzalez, UN.
Thank you. Jelena, I think taking leadership under any circumstances is challenging. And Peralta, in this period, I don't think it's possible to adequately state the level of challenge. The multiple, the multiple challenges that I think would have broken a lot of people. And you did this not just once, not just twice, but 3 times, I think, out of the last 4 years, something along those lines. It's like, when were you not a board officer? I'm not quite sure. But I'll point out one thing in particular that I just really appreciate about your leadership. I think for a lot of people within the district, it's second nature to engage in combat. And so it gets hard here quite a bit. I think your instinct is to avoid combat, to look for the places where people can disengage and then re-engage in qualitatively different way, in a way that is focused on what we have in common. And that is sometimes proven just impossible, but it's never stopped you from continuing the effort. And I think that's how we've gotten through, is that persistence and grace under fire. Sometimes you pissed me off because you didn't take my side or whatever it was. That doesn't matter. Really, what matters is how well we function as a district, and I think you've kept your eye on that the entire time. And for that, we all owe you a huge debt. I'm glad that you're here, and that you're not going away. You're just stepping out of that role, and so don't feel like you're going anywhere. I guess it doesn't feel that way. Anyway, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Very kind words.
Anyone else? All right.
So
go ahead.
Thank you, Chancellor. And thank you for all the comments there. I know I'm not going anywhere.
Let me.
Oh, you have something to say too? Okay.
I have something to say before you say what you want to say, but I want to just say thank you for your dedication and service to this board. It has been tireless, and yet you have never backed away and have had the students and the interests of our community, particularly in the forefront and as your motivator all the time. And I've enjoyed working with you as president just over these last few months, and I'm sad to see you stepping back, as you know that I'm sad about that, into the quote trustee role. But I know you're there and you hold for all of us this critical institutional history and memory, as well as the continued vision of our collective successes. And though I haven't worked with you that long, I am very honored to have you as one of our board of trustees and have served in this role as president. And like Trustee UN just said, you're not going anywhere. You're just moving over a couple of chairs, and that's really important to me. So thank you. Thank you for your service.
Of course. Thank you for that. Thank you for those kind words. Yes, I'm not going anywhere. It almost sounds as if I am departing from this board. but no, I still have 2 more years left on this term. I want to thank especially board clerk and chancellor, who I know had a really strong hand in picking out such a beautiful, as my grandson calls it, trophy for acknowledging the work here. So it's very beautiful. It says, Julina Bonilla, in appreciation of your service as the 2020 Peralta Community College Board President. Thank you for your outstanding and dedicated leadership of the Peralta Community College Board. You're very welcome. And I won't, I don't have a whole lot to say, but I do want to make sure that all of you know, and that it goes without saying, I do this work in partnership with all of you, with the trustees. You all have been my mentor, my challengers, my persuaders, my partners, and sometimes we don't see eye to eye, and that's okay, because this really is about ensuring that we all bring our different values and perspectives to do this work. But the do this work is what's really important. This is about students. This is about how we position our Peralta Community College District and our 4 colleges to be the best that we can be for our students. And that's a driving force for me. So many of you, some of you know, some of you don't know, I am a community college graduate. I first attended community college in my early 20s, and my very first college that I stepped on campus to was the College of Alameda. And then I had to take a break for a very long time and didn't come back until my 30s. And that's when I came back to Laney, and then I gave some love to Solano. And then, here I am today, many, many, many years later. So it's been a fascinating experience for someone who came back through an alternative pathway. I didn't take the traditional route of high school to 4-year college. I took the community college route. So it's dear and close to my heart, as it is to many who it has provided such a great service for. And that's what this is all about, right? This is all about the students. So I completely love working with you all. I completely enjoy this work. I can't think of anywhere else I want to spend my Tuesday nights. Actually, that's a lie. I can think of other places I want to spend Tuesday nights. But for now, you all got me on Tuesday nights. And every once in a while on a different night of the week, like tonight. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So hands, big clap to all of you for all the work that you do, because it allows me to move forward with vision and hope and success for our students. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Trustee Bonilla.
Yes, and so with that, can I move out of 2.3?
Nope, we have one more. We're doing a presentation for Trustee Napolia Bellaris for the past year of service as Board Vice President.
Wow, of course. Yay!
Yes. So let's.
This quick too.
Can you read what it says, Cindy?
Absolutely. Thank you for your outstanding and dedicated leadership of the Peralta Community College District Board. Oh my goodness, it's not made out to me, it's made out to somebody else. Just kidding.
Like, please, no.
You did well, Manisha. It's fantastic.
Oh, all
Thank you
right.
all.
Any comments for VP Reese? Any of the trustees?
I definitely have some parting comments, but I'll let everyone else go ahead of me.
I don't see any.
Trustee Nikki.
Okay.
Gonzalez.
I'll just be real brief. Gosh, it's so refreshing to have, it's such delight to have your level of competence in the position that you have held for us this past year. When you say something I think every single person listening says, all right, there's something serious to consider here. Let me pause, because here's a woman who pays attention to a lot of detail. And I don't think anybody ever kind of doubts that you're onto something important. Might not always agree with where you've landed, but it's always worthy of deep thought. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Trustee Whitrow.
I just like to say that Trustee Reese has been a good partnership member of the leadership team. And again, a lot of the things we said about Jolena in terms of what she was exposed to goes at least one fold, if not more, for Cindy with all of the things that she's involved in. She steps in and analyzes and puts forth strong positions. And she's been a real asset to the board and a real asset to the district. A real asset as a professional educator to what we do and what we try to do. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for that. Let's see. And if there are no other comments, I will make a departing comment to my dear trustee, Cindy Napoli Abella Reese. You know, so one of the things that when she first came on, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of names for me to remember.
It took you a while.
It took me just a little bit. But Cindy, it's been truly a journey for us serving as board officers. And I thoroughly enjoyed your thought partnership. And I think that I've learned so much. I've learned so much from you. I've learned so much about the process. I've learned so much about community college. I mean, we are such a complex institution of higher learning. And when I look at faculty and everything that you all do to make all of this work for our students, you know, when you're talking with faculty and you are faculty and you are so many things. You are a mother, you're faculty, your wife, you're an active community member. And so I'm always in awe with working with other women who are just so amazingly dedicated to their entire community. So it's been an absolute pleasure serving with you as a board officer.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, and it's so nice to have people also to give me direction and tell me where we're at sometimes. So Chancellor, I think that was I think that was the end of 2.2, but Cindy, we're gonna let you say a few words too.
Just thank you. I want to make sure that we're brief because we have a lot on our agenda today, but just thank you. It's been great to be in this position. And I think that I've been able to build just wonderful relationships with everybody, both on the phone, both, you know, just in conversation. And it's been a true learning experience, but it's been fantastic. And I look forward to much of what we need to do going forward. That's it.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you. So
Yes,
Chancellor, that moves us to our annual organization meeting.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do at this point is I'd like to nominate Cindy Napola Bellarise for board president.
I'll second that.
And I have a second. Thank you for that. Trustee Withrow, I'm noticing that you also have your hand up.
I will strongly second that as well.
So I have 2 seconds on that. If there are any other nominations, this is a time to move any other nominations forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a roll call.
Okay. Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Abstain.
okay, Trustee Handy,
Abstain.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
Trustee Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Reese,
Yes, actually, no, but yes.
Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
All righty. And the motion passes.
Thank you. So that is officially moving Trustee Reese into the board president position. And I will move my way out of that position. And then
You're gonna finish
I'm
that?
coming back to you as trustee. Here I am. Okay.
That was terrible. You're not even finishing the annual organizational voting? Okay, so do we have any nominations out there for vice president? I see one hand up.
Yeah, it looks like Deanna Delphine
Yes.
Polk.
Okay,
Yes. I'd like to nominate Trustee Gonzalez Yuan for Vice President.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. And are there
I'd
any?
also like to nominate Trustee Withrow for vice presidency.
Okay. And are there seconds for that? Okay, shall we move on then to a vote? Okay, so let us move on to a vote for Trustee Gonzalez Yuan as the nomination that's been firsted and seconded. Roll call,
Okay.
please.
Yes. Trustee Withrow,
No.
okay, Trustee Jenkins,
Abstain.
okay, Trustee Handy,
No.
okay, Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
Trustee Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Reese,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, and so at this point, we have Trustee Gonzalez Yuan as our board vice president. And I believe we do a nomination for our secretary, or is our secretary just defaulting to the chancellor?
I nominate the chancellor to be the board secretary.
Okay, a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, first and seconded.
I'm sorry, who, can you share that one more time? Who first and who second?
Sure, the first was Trustee Withrow, and the second was Trustee Bonilla.
Got it.
Any discussion? Okay, let's move to the roll call vote, please.
Okay, we have Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
okay, Trustee Jenkins.
I'm sorry, what are we doing?
We
We're
are,
voting
Secretary.
on the secretary.
Abstain.
okay, Trustee Handy,
Abstain.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
Trustee Polk,
Yes.
okay, Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
okay, and Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay. Now I believe that we can move on to the next item on the agenda. We've got our president, we've got our vice president, and we also have our secretary. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the report of action taken in closed session.
Sorry, excuse me, President Reese. I think
Yes.
we now need to do a roll call.
Roll call. Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Board clerk, can you do the roll call,
Okay.
please?
Absolutely. Trustee Withrow,
Aye.
Trustee Jenkins,
Aye.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
I'm right here.
Trustee Polk,
Here.
Trustee Reese,
Here.
Trustee Bonilla.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And now let's move on to the report of action taken in closed session. I believe that this is usually to the Vice President, but since there were no actions taken in closed session, there are no actions to report out. Okay, let us move on to the approval of the agenda. Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? I do believe that there is actually a, sorry, I need to make a motion to reorganize the agenda. There are 3 items on the agenda that need to be pushed up in the action, and those are the security items. I believe that is 7.10, 7.11, and 7.12, if I'm not mistaken. And if we can put that as the first or second item under actions.
I'll support that.
Friendly amendment of sorts.
Those items are already positioned in action.
Are they first, second, and third? Are they up above or are they later down?
They're later down. So you want just 11, 12, and 13 to be moved up on the action item?
Correct, yes.
To be the first 3? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we can take those out of order.
What were those
And maybe we
numbers
need
again?
clarification. The last ones, 11, 7, 11, 7, 12, and 7, 13.
No, they were 710, 711, 712.
Oh, okay.
Do we need a motion for that, or can we take them out of order without going through a motion?
I'll amend through a second if that's appropriate.
Okay. If we can do a roll call then.
Okay, so we had 2 seconds. We have Bill Withrow second the amendment to the agenda.
Oh, Trustee Withrow, do you accept
Yes.
the amendment to move those items? Okay.
I accept the amendment.
Okay, wonderful. I'll do roll call. Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan.
Yep.
Okay, Trustee Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Reese,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
All right, moving right along.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving right along, let's go to 2.8, approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion for the approval of the minutes?
So we had a motion on the floor to approve the agenda, given that we amended it, that we had a separate motion. So there's the first motion still on the floor for approval of the agenda.
I made the first motion and I'm giving that up by amending the
Got
second.
it. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we accepted the friendly amendment and we voted on that. So we are good in reordering the agenda. Okay, thank you, Maisha, for that clarification. Now let's go on to 2.8, a motion for the approval of the minutes. If we can do that.
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, let's do roll call.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at another item here. We are looking at, what is this specifically that
This
we're
is
voting
approval of
on?
the
approval of minutes.
This is for the minutes. Okay, after that, can we go back? There's an item that I would really like to have pulled from the agenda. On this, I'm going to say yes, but if you let me know when I could actually speak to item 7.3.
So let's stay with this particular vote at this moment. Approval of the minutes. I think we've got several people that have already voted. Who's our
Yes,
next person?
I have yes for Withrow, Jenkins, Handy, Gonzalez Yuan, and I have Trustee Polk.
Yes.
Okay, Trustee Reese,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you for that. Now, I believe the request was to go back to 2.7, which we've already voted on. So let's go back to 2.7. And what is the request there?
No, I'm saying 7.3.
But what you'd like to do is you'd like to remove it from the agenda, right?
I would like to remove it from the agenda because I think that this is an item, since it's now coming in 3 million more than originally it was 6 months ago, that we actually need to have a study session. It says here that the IT leadership has evaluated, but we don't have the IT leadership in place. We do not have a technical architect. We do not have a chief information officer. Because of them, I mean, what I'm saying is we were very upset about 7 million. And now we're getting a contract with a different definition than what we were told we were voting for in June. I think that this is something, if we're going to add another 3 million eventually on this, and because we're talking about phase 3 that doesn't start right away, that I think that we could actually move this to the next meeting, have a study session, and do the proper diligence with it.
So I believe what would be appropriate protocol at this particular point is to actually have the discussion on that particular item at that particular agenda item, as opposed to having it between 2.7 and 2.8. And it seems like that would be the appropriate way to go. If legal counsel wants to chime in, if I'm incorrect, do let me know. But it seems like that discussion and that point of contention needs to be discussed at that agenda item.
That's correct, President. You can have the discussion to move forward with the item or not move forward with the item at the time that you consider the item. There would be the board is not obligated to pass the item at that time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then let us move on to our 2.9. And at this particular point, I think that we have our associated student government reports. And board clerk, could you let us know who our students are that are available? And I think going forward, you'll be sending the information to the VP. I just don't know if he has it at this point.
Okay, I will look. I haven't got any emails, but I will check the attendance.
Okay, thank you for doing that.
We have Alicia Raya. Over. I just promoted Alicia Raya.
Okay, from Lainey.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, trustees. I'm really excited to be joining you all today. I guess the update I want to make is that just for all students who will be listening, please join us. Come get a hot meal. Come get some masks this Thursday at 12 p.m. at Laney in front of the flagpole. There'll be enough to share amongst your pod or your family in your neighborhoods. And thank you. Special thank you to the writer of the Citizen article by the last name of Santana. She wrote a beautiful, beautiful article that I feel really excited about. And I want to invite all folks to check it out. I'm really excited about the decision tonight to move forward with the contracts. I really hope that moving forward, we can start implementing as soon as possible and start implementing, the plans that are thought out so thoughtfully in the holistic plan for safety. And I'm just excited. So thank you all for keeping your word. And yeah.
Thank you, Alicia. Always good to hear from you. Do we have any other student leaders in the room?
I don't see any others.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, then let's move on to 2.10, Peralta Classified Senate Report. Terence Fisher, are you in the room?
Terence is in the room. He is. Oh,
847. Yeah.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Good evening, Terence.
Okay. Congratulations and good evening, President Reese. Members of the Board of Trustees, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Waters, presidents, and guests. Tonight we have one classified Senate campus report. The report comes in the form of an open letter from the Laney College Classified Senate President addressed to the Board of Trustees. Dear Peralta Board of Trustees, classified professionals at Laney College are scared. We are scared about the fast approaching transition from the Alameda County Sheriffs to our new community-based security provider, Community Ready Corps. There has been little to no engagement with staff or with any shared governance body regarding the transition. Faced with this lack of information, frontline classified staff who provide in-person services and publicly accessible offices have little rational alternative than to fear for their safety and to distrust district administration. We ask that classified professionals at Laney College be directly engaged by district power holders about the transition, that our questions be answered, and concerns heard and acted upon as soon as possible. Alejandro Acosta, President, Laney College Classified Senate. That is the end of the campus reports. Thank you very much for your attention and support of the Peralta Classified Senate.
Thank you, Terence. Let's move on to 2.11, District Academic Senate Report. Donald, are you in the room?
Yes. Good evening, President Reese and members of the Board of Trustees, the Chancellor and presidents and guests. We get a lot of people speaking, so I'll keep this brief. I want to thank former President Bonilla for her leadership on the board at a time when we were in crisis and we're coming out of it. I want to thank for all of the long hours of work and the issues with the state and all of the stuff that's been going on. I really appreciated the fact that she was constantly open and willing to take a phone call and to share concerns from faculty. That's something that I really do appreciate. And while, again, as everybody said, different votes are, have different interests. Certainly our interests sometimes don't get viewed, but that's fine because she cares and she heard us, and that is something that we really appreciate. So I really wanted to acknowledge that. I'm excited about President Reese, who has a lot of information and a lot of knowledge, and I look forward to her navigating us through this next year, which is going to be very interesting in the next few months as we see how we stand at the end of this spring semester. So I look forward to her leadership and to Nikki's leadership as Vice President. Nikki, long time coming, and so congratulations on being VP. I want to briefly say that we got a response from the Chancellor on the face-to-face classes for next spring, and I think all of you experienced last week the concerns from students, primarily students from the athletic programs, but the same could be said for those students in those needed hands-on classes, which include primarily the laboratories and the studios and whatnot. And I like the fact that she said we want to pause this, and I will take her at her word that that's what she is saying, is that she will pause and wait and see when the stay-at-home order is lifted. I'm still concerned with the lack of data on her part and the lack of clarity about higher education and the need to do these lab classes and so on. But again, she's perfectly able to disagree I just wish it would be more on the basis of the data rather than the basis of what could happen or what is happening, but not necessarily what's happening at Peralta and the classes that we've had face-to-face during the course of this during the course of this fall, and how we responded effectively to it. So while I am concerned about the rise of COVID cases and the beds being occupied in at the hospitals, my concern is that for those students and faculty who really want to have the hands-on, we know we could do that in a very safe way, and unfortunately that's going to be held up until we see whether or not this area decides to change its trajectory. What we also need to recognize, though, that this is going to impact us greatly because other colleges in our area can do those and have decided to do those, and we decided not to participate in that. And finally, I'm happy that we're moving to a different security apparatus. I am concerned about the costs to it, because while I support what the Chancellor indicated in terms of whenever you're doing something innovative, it might cost a little bit more. My concern is that when you get into these contracts, it's hard to reduce the contracts afterwards, right? The cost of the contracts. So I am definitely concerned about how we ultimately manage this, and that there are still those lingering issues that need to be resolved. And I hope that they are articulated to people before the end of this month in terms of the various court orders that people have, that our students have against other people and so on. So I do think that those issues need to be addressed in some type of way. So with that, I want to wish everybody a nice holiday break. The students and faculty are in finals right now. Some have probably already finished, and others will be going all the way till Friday with it. And hopefully they will have a very safe weeks of a holiday break, and that everybody will be able to come back at the end of January, and hopefully we will have plenty of students who will be attending for spring. So once again, thank you, President Reese, and members of the board, for your dedication to our faculty, staff, and students. And we look forward to participating with this new configuration of the board, and look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donald, for that. Okay, and at this point of the meeting, we are at 2.12, public communication. Monsieur, is that what we call you? Monsieur Vice President? Could you let us know if there are speakers that are available to you? Do you have the list available to you?
Yes.
Would you like to make comments?
So we had, I am informed, something over 90 people who wanted to speak in public comment. Officially, our board policy is that we have 15 paltry minutes for public comment, which obviously isn't enough. Last week, what we did was we took members of the public in order, we gave 1 minute for comment. This meeting, we extended our 15 minutes to 45 minutes. And so what that meant was the first 45 people who signed up got in on the list. So what I really am hoping is that for people who have more than 1 minute of comment, one, if you can coordinate with other people to share comments and associate yourself with comments and so forth, that's helpful. And then we understand like the substance as well as the sort of the volume, the number of people. What we're going to do, what I'd ask the Ms. Jameson, if you could put in the chat the order in which the list is was taken. And then people can know in advance, all right, here's where I am in this list. And then we can get ready. If that's not possible, if not everybody has access to the chat, I can read the list in advance, which is normally what I do. And while we're working that out, I'm going to read the first few names. So people could be prepared. You're going to get a 10-second warning, and then the mute button is going to come, and then we're going to move along. And really what I'm hope people will do is put their full comments. If you've got more comments than fit into that minute, and I suspect that's going to happen, if you would put them in the chat for more full consideration.
I would like to ask Vice President Gonzalez Yuan if you could read that list, or you would need to give me a moment to pull that up.
Well, what I'll do is I'll read the first 5, and then if you could go and get the next, that'll give us a bit of time. Does that work?
It does. However, I'm going to be timing as well, so I'll work to do it.
All right, we're going to need to do something to get more help, because this is a crazy job to try to handle all of that plus all the participants and take minutes. So let me, you know what? I'll put the list in the chat off of my Excel spreadsheet. And so why don't I take care of that? Sorry for the confusion. This is a new procedure. And so I haven't been a board vice president for, I don't know, a good 10 years or maybe more. So it's going to take me a little while to warm into the role. As well. The first person is John Beam, then Chris Weidenbach, Ryan Crawford, and Evelyn Lord. And so, Coach Beam, by the way, congratulations on an extraordinary team and an extraordinary series. You came through in an extraordinary way. I think we're all pretty proud. Anyway, why don't, if you are in the room, the floor is yours for a minute. And then again, I'll read the order is Chris Weidenbach, Ryan Crawford, Evelyn Lord, and then Linda Thompson have the first 5 spots. And then I will try to paste in to the chat the additional ones, but I'll keep reading them out. Coach Beam, are you here?
Okay, I've just moved him over.
Okay. And then Chris Weidenbach, Ryan Crawford, Evelyn Lord, and Linda Thompson. Thank you.
Hear me? Good. Yes. My name is John Beam. I'm the athletic director at Laney College. I want to start off because I'm going to kind of fit this in 1 minute. I want to thank Rudy Befnikoff and the administration at Laney for supporting our student athletes. I also want to ask the board who represents our students. Last week and this week, we had many student athletes wanting to speak to you, to tell you what's going on in their lives, to talk about their fears of what's happening. And yet they got 1 minute, or in this week, we're totally asked that they could not speak at all. There are no longer student board members, doesn't look like, trustees. So who is taking the time to listen to these young people as they deal with the pandemic and all that's going on with them? They have some major issues going on, and yet there is not one board member taking the time to ask them what is happening. We made a big movement last week with an email from the Chancellor about pausing everything, but yet where's the data? So I have a lot more to say, but our students have even more than I do. I know at least 45 student athletes from Laney did participate or asked to participate tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next person is Chris Weidenbach, followed by Ryan Crawford, Evelyn Lord, Linda Thompson, and Howlin Gao.
Good evening. I am sorry to hear what Coach Beam just shared in terms of students not being, not finding a way into the meeting tonight, but I'm wondering if that's simply a matter of the volume of people who signed up to speak. And I hope the board or Chancellor could answer that question before we all have to wonder more about it. I'm extremely proud of the decision the Board of Trustees made last summer to reallocate funding away from the traditional policing and toward other forms of security. I'm extremely proud of the district administration who have met with some of us in Black Minds Matter Peralta around the same goals. I share the concerns expressed in Alejandro Acosta's letter from the classified Senate at Laney College.
10 seconds.
Many other people. And I encourage everyone to read the Peralta Citizens reporting, which is the only good reporting on this subject going on. But I hope we get there. And I'm pledging all of my work.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Sorry.
If you have more comments, put them into the chat stream. Ryan Crawford, Evelyn Lord, Linda Thompson, Helen Gao, Zoe Laventhal. Mr. Crawford, are you present?
Don't see Crawford, several folks who have.
Why don't we
not
go back around and Ms.
Evelyn
Lord?
Lord is here, yes.
Good evening. My name is Evelyn Lord, and I'm the head librarian at Laney. In non-pandemic times, the library is open evenings and is accessible both to our college community and the public. The transition to a new security plan matters to us. We want to ensure that the new plan will strengthen, not diminish, our ability to provide students a safe, comfortable environment that is conducive to learning. We have some questions comparing an earlier draft of the contract and the new draft. Between the two drafts of the contract, the type of business entity changed from a state of California corporation to a state of Louisiana corporation. Why? Are there legal ramifications to this? And if so, what are they? Since the company is based in
10
Louisiana,
seconds.
will it hire local Oakland employees? Will they be paid Bay Area wages or Louisiana wages? Will they be part-time, full-time, temporary? Will they have health benefits?
So sorry.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lord. Linda Thompson, Howlin Gao, and then it looked like Zoe Leventhal was ceding their time to someone else, and then Flynn Morrison.
Don't have Linda Thompson.
And if Ryan Crawford shows up, just send me a message, please.
Okay, we'll do.
Howlin Gao.
Don't see Howlin Gao either.
Flynn Morrison. And then followed by Kimberly King and Cynthia Roberts.
Hello.
Flynn, yes, go ahead.
So I'm on the baseball team. Came over here from Melbourne, Australia, to pursue my career in baseball and get a good education. So my major concern is that there's people on the team that really need to have a season, because this is setting them up for their careers. You've got a bunch of committed athletes that are trying to get to the next level to get scholarships and set up their career in sports. So I think I'd really like to see the Board of Trustees kind of communicate with the students and get their opinion on, what we need to do to actually have a season. In the fall, we followed all the procedures. If there was someone that came in contact with coronavirus, we shut down the whole pod. And, we did a really good job. And I think we can do a really good job this spring in following all the guidelines.
Thank you very much, Mr. Flynn. Mr. Morrison, is that it?
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Earlier, I'd called Ryan Crawford, Lynn Thompson, Howlin Gao, Zoe Laventhal. If there's somebody in particular you wanted to cede your time to, let me know, please. Next up is Kimberly King, then Cynthia Roberts, Chris Lowe. And again, I've pasted all those names in the chat stream. You can get an idea of who's coming up next. Dr. King.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'd like to give my time to a student. His name is Josh Patstone. He wasn't able to get in. He's in here now, but he wasn't on the list. Josh, are you there?
Okay, let's swing back around to Josh Padstone. Ms. Jameson, if you could make a note of that. And we'll go to Cynthia Roberts. And
Cynthia Roberts is in.
great. Cynthia Roberts, you've got 60 seconds. Not hearing you. We will sort out the bugs on this system eventually, probably just in time for return.
So I believe that the folks who are ceding their time to, they were part of the group where their registration was canceled because they were over the 45, and so they're not showing in the attendees list. So I'm not even able to move them up unless they got in that 45, that group of 45 speakers.
He might have come in under my name. Is there another? He's there under me. There's
Okay,
another Kimberly. I can.
Okay, let me see if I can.
And I'm seeing Cynthia Roberts is now in the room. Ms.
Yes,
Roberts,
okay, so
You wrote from the chat. I don't know if you can see that.
I did. I got the other Kimberly King up. There you go.
Yes, hi everyone. It's Cynthia Roberts here. I actually didn't think that I would make the cut today, so I do appreciate being able to join in on the board meeting and seeing some names with faces. I'm representing the Oakland Roots. I'm sorry, I don't have a prepared question because I actually didn't think that I would make the cut, but this is a very educational experience for me, and next time I'll have something more prepared. My apologies. Thank you, though.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Roberts. And we'll come over to our ghost Kimberly King. Mr. Padstone, you are up.
Hi everyone. My name is Josh. Thanks for having me. Trustees, I want to first congratulate you all for deciding to cancel the contract with the Sheriff's Department, which we all know puts our district in a position to become a national model in reimagining what public safety looks like. But let me be clear, if the district decides to go back on their word and continue to contribute to the Sheriff's Department's bloated budget, it will not only put the safety of our students at jeopardy, but it will contribute to a more militarized, violent Alameda County and Bay Area as a whole. This is bigger than our district. I, along with my peers, don't want to be a part of a district who supports a sheriff department that carries out racialized violence. So I look forward to what happens next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Padstone. So apparently it's not possible within the technical limitations of what we've got set up here to add new people in from that prior list. So Ms. Lamthal, if you care to reclaim your time, you can do that, or you can cede it to somebody else who did make the list. So we've got Chris Lowe, Carol Brown, Joseph Camp, and Jordan Lou Gibbons are our next people. And if any of the other people who are higher on the list came in, let me know. Chris Lowe?
Don't see a Chris Lowe.
Carol Brown?
I don't see a Carol Brown either.
Joseph Camp?
I do
This
not
is
see
Zoe Leventhal. I would like to cede my time to Adele Ray. I also didn't think I would make the cut today, and
Okay, I've got that noted. Thank you, Ms. Leventhal. Adele Ray. Did I skip over Jordan Lou Gibbons?
There's no Jordan in the chat.
Okay, and
I mean,
is
in the
Adele
agenda.
Ray in the room yet?
I'm
Yes.
here. Yes.
Good. You've got 2 minutes.
Okay. I'll get it under 2.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ina Adele Ray. Everybody calls me Adele. I teach at Berkeley City College, and I'm a part of the Black Minds Matter at Peralta group. So the chancellor's changed, the vice chancellor's changed, and a lot of changes are occurring in the past 6 months. And Black Minds Matter and the 1,943 community members who signed a petition urging the board to end the contract with AXO have been patiently waiting for this day. And so we're excited to be here. And with all these changes for the rest of the community, I think we understand that this change with the security firms has been in the works for not just 6 months, it's been for a couple years. And this isn't a trend or a fad. This is a change and a movement. I want to thank you, the Board of Trustees, for being the avant-garde in this change and honoring your word that you gave to our community and your voting constituents. You are fulfilling the dream of a new safety plan that will provide a new level of safety, employing local Black-owned, community-minded safety firms. This decision is important to the majority of this community. It is important to, if not all of the community. It is important to have unarmed, non-law enforcement, transformative, and restorative justice-centered safety. In addition, many of us hope that you consider our action plan for holistic safety and wellness that has been endorsed by the Student Senate at Laney College, the Peralta District Academic Senate, and the Faculty Senates at Laney, Merritt, and College of Alameda. You have a copy of that, and I hope that you review that again. I know there are some people in the district who have done a great job in supporting the transition. We appreciate at Black Minds Matter, Royal Roberts and Dr. Siri Brown, who've been meeting with Black Minds Matter and other concerned community members at Peralta. And I hope that you urge the district to continue to work towards involving and educating students, staff, and faculty on the campuses about the new safety measures. This fear, they don't have to have this fear. And I hope you can urge the district to support the transition to non-law enforcement campus security. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ray. So again, I'm looking for Ryan Crawford, Linda Thompson, Helen Gao, Chris Lowe, Carol Brown, Joseph Camp, and Jordan Lou Gibbons. If any of you is in the room, let me know, please. Otherwise, we are going to move to Gabriella Mitchell, Esther Goolsby, and Marla Leach, followed by John Lindsay Poland and Jennifer Ziliak. Gabriella Mitchell, you available here yet?
I've moved her over.
Thank you. And if it's possible to move over any of the others in advance, that would be fabulous. Gabriella Mitchell, are you available yet? You in?
Marla Leach is in as well.
Marla Leach, why don't we move you up? Welcome, Marla. Nice to see you here. Marla, you're up. Marla, if you're trying to talk, you are muted. In addition, we're looking for Esther Goolsby, John Lindsay Poland,
Don't see either of those.
okay. Jennifer Ziliak and Ann Harvey. And Marla Leach, I see you in the room, but you are muted.
Move Ann Harvey over.
Ann Harvey, you can speak now. Just saw you come in. So either Marla Leach or Ann Harvey. Just need to unmute yourself. Camera would also be most welcome. I'm just going to keep calling names and we'll see whether we can make it through this technological maze. Samuel Diosdado, and Jesse Reynoso.
Don't
And
see Samuel. I did see Jesse. Let's see if he's still here.
Shona Christensen.
Jesse Reynoso is moved over.
Okay, so we've got Marla and Jesse and Ann in the room, but muted.
Hello?
Okay,
This
let's
is
see.
Jesse.
Why don't you go, Ann? We'll put you up next. Jesse, you're
All
up.
right. Hello, my name is Jesse Reynoso. I'm from Merritt College, and I run track and field. I just wanted to speak on how we were told that this season was probably going to be canceled, spring season. And I just want to speak from the heart and say that I heard someone said that sports is a hobby for us, and so we shouldn't be too concerned about canceling the season. But I wanted to just say that, speaking specifically for track and field, we put in, like, you could say 5+ hours a day just training, and pretty painful training. And so it's definitely not just a hobby when we're doing 5+ hours a day for a sport. It's definitely something much bigger than that. And
10 seconds.
it's also something that really keeps us in school. It's very important to us, and I just hope you guys could hear us all out another time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reynoso. Ann Harvey.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say I really appreciated the unanimous vote back in June to transition out of sheriffs to a more peaceful and positive, restorative justice centered approach to safety. And I hope that you follow through now, and also to complement that, to go with the holistic safety and wellness plan for more mental health counselors, more restorative justice training, more programs to ensure students have basic needs met, so that it can be a healthier and safer campus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Marla Leach, are you still in the room? And if you can unmute, we'd be happy to hear from you. I don't think we found John Lindsay Poland. Jennifer Ziliak, Samuel Diaz-Dado, we
No.
heard Jesse Reynoso, Shona Christensen, and Nadia Eldib.
Neither of those. I do have, I think, Liz. Let me see if I have her still. Yeah, she's in. Liz Kroboth is in.
Liz Kroboth, you're up.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm coming to this meeting tonight. I am actually one of the authors of the American Public Health Association statement on law enforcement violence, and also I'm a former instructor at San Francisco State. So I'm just calling to kind of, as other folks have saying, you know, this statement that we wrote and passed by this association of 25,000 people really calls for diverting funding away from law enforcement and into the resources that make our communities well. And so I think that, you know, what's in that statement, restorative justice, mental health care, employment, housing, those are all things that are really mirrored in the holistic safety and wellness plan. And I just want to urge you to adopt that plan and also to terminate the contract with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Jameson, I presume that you're just looking in the list at this point, looking in the attendee room and moving people over.
That's right.
Okay, and is there anybody in the panelist room now who you've moved over who
Yes, we have Brock Trazen and Andres Inchandia.
Coach, you up? Brock Trazen, you're up. gotta hit your unmute. Having a hard time figuring out how to unmute there. Okay. Why don't we go to Andres and we'll come back to Brock. Brock, if in the meanwhile you can try to figure out how to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
Ah, there you are. Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
You're up.
I would like to thank the Board of Trustees, the Chancellor, and the college presidents, especially my boss at Merritt College, Dr. David Johnson, for listening and reconsidering, redefining what was sent out last week. I've worked at Merritt since 2004, and Dr. Johnson is one of those rare leaders who inspires with his equanimity, thoughtfulness, and work ethic. I'm very pleased to have been heard on behalf of students and faculty. We ask that the district not make any premature decisions about the spring semester and keep the door open for our student athletes. That happened today. We are grateful in athletics for the flexibility we've been offered, waiting, watching, and monitoring what is happening with COVID before setting any decisions in stone is the way to go. Depending on COVID data and the state and Alameda County health guidelines going forward, we can make further decisions regarding what type of activities can be safely and reasonably implemented. And a shout out to board member Linda Handy last week for standing up on behalf of students. They were thrilled. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Coach. Andres Ekiandia.
Yes, hello?
You're up.
All right. First things first, I just want to speak upon. I feel that there's a disconnect that needs to be spoken upon. Just based off of our last meeting, we spent hours just giving congratulations and whatnot, while we also listened to hear how you guys are supposed to be helping the student body. But then at the end of it, we were just briefly snuck in to what it seems that are actual projects that could be helped upon. There's plenty of people like in my position who need you guys to figure out our problems. And then to hear that funds for student housing are being reallocated to serve as staff stipends. And just the mere fact that we had to wait over 2 hours on a school night for plenty of us who have work the next morning. Personally, for myself, I was in finals week and I have work the very next morning at 5 a.m. to be a medical assistant. And I just don't feel as if we're being given a fair shot. I work, I pay my rent, we work out hard and we do our schoolwork and we just want a shot.
Okay, we have Nick Shear in the room and Rick Townsend.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. First, I salute the board and Peralta leadership moving forward with new approaches to security. Thank you. Second, I'd like to urge the board and administration to work with the unions on safe conditions for employees performing essential duties now and to create a safe plan for eventual reopening for employees and students, and to create healthy interactions around the management of remote workers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Ricky Townsend, you are up.
Hello, my name is Ricky Townsend, and I run for Merritt College in track and field. For the past 12 weeks, the track team and staff have been making a great effort to keep everyone safe by using necessary precautions such as being 6 feet apart, daily questionnaires about our health, and constantly washing our hands and wearing masks. For the past 12 weeks, we as a team and individually have been putting in work day by day to do our best for this season, allowing us to be seen by potential scouts, to potentially get scholarships, to pay for our classes for the future and universities we're going to. For the past 12 weeks, track and field has been giving everyone the mental strength to push through this semester with classes and things going on in our lives, giving us hope that things will be better. I'm glad you're reconsidering the decision and taking consideration of the student athlete voices. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Townsend. Britt McSween. Britt, you are up.
Hi, I'm a student. I mostly attend Laney and Merritt colleges. I live in between them.
It's really bizarre to hear Trustee Bonilla say it's all about the students, but you didn't even make time to hear from the students. I don't want to hear anything tonight about how much the security contracts cost y'all. When I hear that, what I hear that there might be an issue with the contracts, the question that comes to my mind is how much is a student's life worth? What is it? Is it Black Lives Matter, or is it Black Lives Matter, but don't make it too expensive? Black Lives Matter, but as long as it's affordable? How much is a Black student's safety and security worth? $100,000? $200,000? $1 million? What is the number? You will be answering that question with your vote tonight, and I hope the answer is the obvious one, that our students' lives are worth every single penny. Additionally, this is why we need to adopt the holistic safety and wellness plan, because we need to address the causes of quote unquote crime.
Second.
You can take classes to learn about this. People do drugs because they need mental health care. People steal because their basic needs aren't met. We need to address these issues.
Thank you very much, Britt. Looks like Jose Bernal is in the room, and Marla, if you ever can unmute, we'd be happy to hear from you. Jose Bernal.
Hello, thank you. I'll try to be brief. My name is Jose. I'm with the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. I'm also here representing decarcerated Alameda County. I want to congratulate you on this historic vote that you did back in June, essentially eliminating the $4.1 million contract with the sheriff's office. I can't stress that enough. It is historic. You're on the right side of history. I hope that you continue doing that. We stand in full solidarity with Black Minds Matter at Peralta. And want to encourage you to continue that because it's going to be a journey. It's not going to end with just a vote. It's not going to end with just a new community safety plan. And so the next phase, I think, is implementing holistic safety and wellness. And you know, the benefit of this at Black Minds Matter at Peralta is already working on that blueprint. And so, you know, looking at the leadership of our students, you know, we stand in strong solidarity, strong support, and look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see, looks like Danny Thongsby.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead, Danny.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say good evening, board member. My name is Danny Thongsby. I am a Peralta college student, and I am in support with the community, student, and faculty member that we should not renew any contract with the sheriff, and regarding community-based solution, that we should follow through with that. And for students like myself and many others, you know, we do not want to go to school and feel like we're being harassed or criminalized because of our skin color. And we know that the history of the Alameda County Sheriff, they have bad reputation in their practices, especially in abusing their power, abusing people even in their jail. And they even have multiple lawsuits regarding their abuse. So therefore, I encourage the board to please consider the community requests and not renew the contract with the sheriff, and also, you know, to consider community-based solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm looking at our list here, and if there's somebody who is in the room who is on the list, it's not clear to me that you're here. Ms. Jameson?
Derek Garner.
Derek Garner?
Mm-hmm.
You're moving him over now?
I did move him over, yes.
Okay. Mr. Garner, are you available? Not seeing you on the screens here.
I can see him. He's muted. Mr. Gardner, if you're speaking, you're muted.
Derek Gardner or Marla Leach, either of you? Clearly, we'll have to, moving forward, figure out a protocol that's just a teeny bit smoother. And I don't blame any of the staff on this. This is an unusual situation. We're trying something new, and it's kind of trying circumstances. Marla Leach, Derek Gardner. And is there anybody else in the attendee room who we're trying to move over? Don't think so.
Looking right now, yeah, to see if there's anyone. Looks
Okay.
like most folks have already. Sam Tadasi, that might be someone. Let me move them over. And I know that Zoe gave her time, but she's still there.
And Zoe, so if you did want to, speak, that'd work. And I think Kimberly King, you ceded your time, but there are a bunch of people who didn't show. And so if you want to come in and take your minute, I think that's fine.
I think Sam is one of our vendors, so I've moved him back to the attendees section.
Okay, so if there's anybody who is here who came for public comment, you're waiting to speak, if you can make yourself known to me. And it looks like Kimberly King will, in fact, reclaim her minute if we can let her back in.
Just moved her back in.
Dr. King, you are up.
Thank you so much, Trustee Gonzalez, Yuan, and thank you, board members, again, for the unanimous vote on June 23rd. You made history with that. The Peralta College District has the opportunity to make history as a community college that is replacing sheriffs. We are defunding the sheriffs, and we want to replace them with community-based security, including our holistic safety plan. Please keep going forward. The community agencies that we selected, that the people selected on the in the process, are very important in our community. We believe they will do an excellent job. It's all about safety. A lot of staff might be afraid because they haven't gotten information. That is natural and understandable. Now we need to move forward with involving shared governance, students, faculty, staff on all the campuses, and really do what we know we can do. We're going to be a leader. We had the Black Panthers started in our district, and now we're going to move forward and have the first community-oriented safety plan that is going to really make all of our students safe, African American and Latino students, Indigenous students, all students. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, if there's any other person who's here for public comment and you're trying to speak, you need to make yourself known, because we're out of names. And we'll revisit this process for the next public board meeting to see if we can smooth it out. My apologies for if you did not get to speak. My profound apologies, and we will make every effort to do better. Our intent is not to silence anybody's voice. I think we all really value public voice. So, Madam President, I believe there's no more public comment off of our list right now.
Thank you for that. And thank you for all the speakers who registered and took the time and waited, because your voice is very important to us. And I'm going to take this moment to actually have the Chancellor speak to the issues. I know that we had two major issues, and those issues dealt with, number one, security, and the other, our athletics and our sports scenario going forward. And so because the security will be dealt with in our contracts today, we will talk about that. But if the Chancellor can opine or talk a little bit about the athletic issue, I think that would be greatly appreciated. Chancellor?
Sure. Thank you. President Reese, Vice President Yuan, welcome to your new roles. Colleagues, community, and other trustees. Thank you, everyone who spoke, and all the comments that have come forward regarding what we're doing now and what the folks are anticipating regarding the safety direction. I just have a few things to say regarding the COVID-19 situation that we find ourselves facing at this moment. Just let me tell you that at this moment, there are 38,218 confirmed cases. We had an additional 2,033 today in Alameda County, and we had 546 deaths from COVID, and 4 of them occurred today. Alameda County is a little unique in terms of the zip codes that are represented, and the number of deaths and infections are impacting Alameda County in a more dramatic way than other zip codes within our counties. So I'm just going to take a moment here and let you know a few things. And one of them is I'd like to let you know is that I was at a business establishment the other day that had a sign posted that if you contract COVID while you're here, this company is not responsible, neither is its employees or contractors. You will continue here at your own risk. Because what we're seeing now is an increase in the possibility of legal repercussions from people contracting COVID. So we're in a changing situation and we're responding to those changes daily. We have seen this double factor increases of deaths and infections day by day since that Thanksgiving. So, I really want to take a moment and remember that there are many people who have already died of COVID in our service area, and to remember those who are sick, shut in, children who can't go outside or go to school and play, our healthcare workers who are dealing with this pandemic, and let's thank them for their compassion and wisdom. We are seeing a vaccine on the way, but it's not here yet, and it can't be produced fast enough to keep up with the demand. We know that there are many people who are out of work, without food, without shelter, and without hope due to COVID. So COVID-19 is deadly, and it's impacting Blacks and Latinos and people in the ethnic categories within our service area, particularly those who are between 18 and 35 years old. They are now at the highest risk. Here in our district, we have had 5 students who have been tested positive on our campuses, 1 who has been directly exposed and tested and waiting for results. Another student has been turned away from the lab at Laney because his questionnaire revealed that he lives in a COVID positive household and his status was unknown. He was referred to another clinic for testing. There have been 6 known cases so far of employees who have been on campus, with additional cases among employees who have not been to a campus or an office. By zip code, we have a higher case rate than our neighboring districts. While the stay-at-home order indicates some limited in-person instruction is permissible for colleges and universities, there are multiple indicators that the increase of COVID cases in our area and a severe decrease in the availability of hospital beds and resources to handle those cases. These cases are growing, and they're not going to go down. We're expecting them to go up over the winter holidays. The announcement was made in consultation with our supervising physician for the district, who endorsed the decision for the safety of students, faculty, staff, and their families, and their loved ones. We chose the term, quote, pause intentionally, as the intent was not a cancellation of CE or sports programs. The intent was to pause the programs until it is safe for all to proceed. And I promise you that we are continuing to review ways to safely move forward, and we'll reconsider the situation on a day-by-day frequency and until the stay-at-home order is revised or lifted. Additionally, administrators have been working with the athletics directors and the CE faculty to see what we can do. We're working on ways we can accommodate instruction with embedded tutors and ways we can help student athletes in finding different alternatives and media to show their skills to recruiters and to others that might be interested in seeing how they can move forward in their careers within a sports frame. So we are hoping to develop some of those very soon. So to keep our students, athletes engaged, we agreed that when the county permits and if the district authorizes the return to campus, conditioning would resume for all sports under their protocols. Moreover, there is a mandatory response to the CCCAA due on the 18th of this month for competitions for spring 2021. While we recommend opting in for this first part of the spring, the January to April season, we do this knowing that because of the need to be competitive, and that these can only take place after a certain amount of conditioning, we will go ahead and let them know that we are moving forward. However, we reserve the right, if we need to make a different decision and go in a different direction. We also have to be mindful of whether or not the county is going to allow us to do this. So our neighboring districts are taking the same approach of opting in now to meet the December 18th deadline and reserving the right to change the course in January if it's necessary. So we are not unaware of what needs to be done. And we are taking every precaution to make sure that we keep our faculty, staff, students, their families, and loved ones safe as we respond to the governor's order to stay at home during this time. I'd like to express my appreciation for our staff, faculty, administrators, and trustees, and to let everyone know that we are working on a return to campus protocol. And we're at the moment endeavoring to keep the district operating and moving forward. And we're working as if we're in, quote, normal times. And we're also looking for ways to innovate and bring resources to our community and students while working remotely. Some of us work without printers or without office arrangements, and instead we sit at kitchen tables while our kids attend school online or we care for family members. Many of us work on laptops no bigger than 10 by 7 inches and produce documents and spreadsheets, presentations, all manner of forms, process payroll, write letters, write reports for the ACCJC, complete state and federal compliance reports while we're understaffed. Some of us have taken on the tasks of 2 or 3 employees as our colleagues are overstressed, overtapped. So I want us all to remember that we are not in a normal situation. We are doing our absolute best to keep everyone safe as much as possible and to help our students, our faculty, and our staff be successful. And I really want to thank everyone for their commitment. So as we enter into the holiday break, I want you to know that I appreciate what you do. I appreciate our students. I appreciate how all of us strive on behalf of our students. And I wish everyone here and all of the people that you are representing a most restful, safe, and celebratory season as you can possibly have. And then this spirit of human interaction in COVID, here's an elbow bump and a fist bump right to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Chancellor, for that. And we look forward to seeing the protocol and the back to campus plan and protocol that you will be bringing forth at a later date. And I think I kind of introduced your Chancellor's report. So officially, let us go to your Chancellor's report.
Well, I think that was pretty much it.
Okay. Anything else that we need to cover there? President's reports, nothing? We're good?
I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, fabulous. Then let us move on to the consent calendar. May I
approve a motion to I'm submitting my motion, sorry, for approval of the consent calendar.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we've got a first. Do we have a second motion?
Second.
Excellent. Discussion on the consent calendar? Otherwise, let's do roll call.
Okay, I have Trustee Withrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins.
Yes.
Trustee Handy. Trustee Handy still with us?
Yes, I am. And this is where I asked about that item being removed from being removed.
Was that item?
We did have that conversation.
That's an action item. That's an action item.
This is consent.
Okay, so we're going to wait till we get to the action items and then again ask for it to be removed. I'm just trying to get some clarity of what we're doing here.
Yes, when we get to that particular agenda item, we can discuss at that particular amendment whether there are votes to remove or not remove, to vote it down or vote it forward, and there'll be a discussion at that particular point.
Okay, so you need a vote for me on the consent, yes.
Wonderful. Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
Trustee Polk.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez UN.
Yes.
And Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Great, motion carries.
Thank you. And now we move to the action items of our calendar. And I believe that we moved up 3 different items. So the first action item is 7.11. 7.11.
Yeah, sorry, 7.10, yes.
Right. So 7.10 is consider approval of the independent contractor agreement for special services for community-based security services with Zulu Community Protection for the Merritt College and College of Alameda campuses with the amount or in the amount of $2,640,372.
Move approval.
Second.
Sorry, was that Trustee Bonilla and Gonzalez?
Yes.
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 Shall we have discussion?
Comment.
I'm sorry, Trustee Withrow. Did you have a comment?
I have a comment on it.
Yes. Yes, please do.
I fully support community policing, have for 30 years. And I think that this is a well-structured kind of an approach. But we do need to recognize, as we manage money, okay, that the 3 items here are running somewhere between 38 and 39% higher than what the sheriff's contract ran. And that means that we're going to have to find ways to cut back in the other side of the 50% law, if you will, quite a bit of money. And so we need to recognize that that needs to be a priority and not wake up next year and say, oh, gee whiz, we're out of money. We can't do that. That's number one. Number two, we, as far as I know, okay, I'll put it in terms of what I understand the process is, that the MOUs we had with the City of Oakland Police Department and the City of Alameda Police Department were MOUs with the Sheriff's Department, and that they were needed to be converted over from the Sheriff's Department to the district, specifically the 2 schools in Oakland and College of Alameda. It's more important than what you might recognize, because having been in this kind of business a bit, I don't see where we're accommodating the safety, which has got to be the priority here, the safety of students, faculty, and staff. in violent crime. Now we're going to have organizational crime things where they control within the 30,000 students that we have and the faculty and staff and whatever. But my concern is crime coming in from the sidelines, crime coming in from the community. And certainly right now, the crime level in the city of Oakland is extremely high. And even Alameda, the last time I heard, we have 12 shootings in the last 5 months in Alameda for crying out loud. Never have that. So we have to make sure that we have a working relationship with the police departments of Oakland and Alameda and have it at a good interface so that when we have violent crime that comes up, that we have a quick reaction to provide for the safety of our constituents here. That's all. That's my points.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Chancellor, would you like to respond to that, or shall we move on?
Sure, I can respond briefly. And first of all, say that I know that we have budgeted well for the transition, and we do our budgeting annually. So we have budgeted for this fiscal year, and we will begin the budget process for the upcoming fiscal year. We'll be hearing from the governor sometime in early January about the state of the budget as we move forward. So I think that we would be planning for those expenses. In terms of the 50% law that you mentioned, Trustee Withrow, I do not believe that this would impact that because of the way in which that the 50% law calculations actually occur. And then in terms of your security questions with, your violent crime and immediate response from the law enforcement in the community, we are still able to dial law enforcement at any time, and we still expect them to respond at any time. And if we go back and review the statistics as they relate to our campuses, it's my recollection that the violent crimes are very low for us. And so any kind of concerns that we have for those violent crimes are being met in the same manner right now. So therefore, I think we'll be fine. But having said that, this process of moving forward is going to be iterative, and we will make adjustments if we need to. But I believe that we have that piece also covered relative to your questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for that. Any other questions or discussion?
I do, through the chair, Madam President.
Well. Are we going by raising our hands
Trustee
in
Handy,
the app,
you can go
or
ahead
in the
because
window?
I don't have, I'm on a different device, but Trustee Handy, please go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jelena. I'm just asking about procedure.
I will look at the hands. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Okay, and I'm on a new device, so I haven't figured out my hand raising piece. So thank you, Trustee Handy. So I want to start off by saying, and I'll probably make lesser comments on the other two contracts since they're all taking on different components of safety and security. Having been a trustee for the past 6 years, this conversation about transitioning to a safety and security that puts our students first and that really adheres and matches the values of our Peralta Community College District and student needs, this conversation has been going on for quite some time. And when I came in back in 2014, this very conversation has taken place every year and year after whenever the sheriff's contract came up. And unfortunately, we never had enough lead time to be able to create an appropriate transition. With COVID-19, it's kind of given us a little bit of a silver lining so that we can move forward. This is an optimal time because of the limited access of students and faculty and administration and staff on campus, that if there was an appropriate time for us to engage in a transition, this is the time. I'm excited. I'm excited that there's going to be continued conversation on how the plan gets pulled together. It looks like different constituencies are going to come together to really start to build out what this looks like, meaning this is a work in progress. And there is time for assessment, reassessment, course correction, and implementation. It's an exciting time, and I'm excited to be here with you all during this transition process. Thank you. It's the end of my comments.
Thank you, Trustee Bonilla. Trustee Jenkins or Trustee Handy, whoever was first. Why don't you go, Trustee Handy?
Okay, thank you. When I first was elected to Peralta some time ago, I brought my teenage son for some swearing in activities, whatever, and I was really shocked and dismayed to find that he found resistance when he saw the sheriff's officers, simply because some of those same sheriff officers had been patrolling at Skyline High School and and that the young students were not receptive to it. I give you that example because I was really surprised because that was not my reality as a female, but as a young Black male, that was my son's reaction. And when I would ask him over the years to return, again, he would always tell me that he was not comfortable with the sheriff's officers there. And so when we started discussing this many years ago in the transitioning, I really could see the possibilities of doing something different. It's not necessary to have armed officers on our campuses, but it is necessary for us to have a comprehensive plan that addresses the needs of safety. Our students can be escorts. We've had that in the past where students work as part of a work study, but they're also escorts walking people to their cars. We have this particular plan is more expensive because we have mental health and other components in this. It's not just a control and watch, but we have other components that are being factored into this. We have community input into it. And I think that working together, we will be able to create a model program that may have implications across the country, because everything starts in California and then it goes out. So I think that us taking this on is great. I have seen and heard people have questions about, well, what about Merritt College at night? With the Sheriff's Department, we have one person there at night. So you're not more at risk because we're transitioning. And the transition has been worked on by our facilities and other employees for quite some time. So it's not going to be a magic date, stop, the sheriff walks out and there's no one there. So if we could ask people to try to set the fear aside and try to work with us as we look at how we can make this program something that's model and comprehensive, and that really makes our students feel safe and secure. I think that that would be the best thing that we could possibly do. We have had opposition when we decided at 2018 to not move forward giving a 2-year contract. That's when this process started. It did not start 6 months ago when George Floyd died. It started way before then. What we did get when George Floyd died was an awakening of our communities and our students to new possibilities. And that I embrace. But I also embrace supporting the people who have been working diligently to figure out a plan for us that we can now transition to. At points, we have tried to do things to make our campuses more secure. If you go back through the old Granicus, you will find that we had a plan to fence Laney College, but we had opposition from our faculty and staff that said it will look like a prison. But now, for the reasons that we wanted to do it before, now again, we really have to look at the safety issues, because the homeless people were moving in and defecating around the swimming pool area on the stairs. People could not go to their cars. They did not feel safe walking through the campuses. And I think that there's some things that we really do need to look at revisiting. Also with Trustees Whitworth's concerns about the financing of this. I do believe that we will be able to identify other funding sources, because we have the mental health components and other pieces into it that are not just safety. I find that for many police officers, they carry guns, and it feels very threatening and intimidating. But what I personally see of police officers are people who are secretaries after the event. They come in to take the report after it happened. Gunned, armed policemen walking around, or sheriffs, are not a deterrent to crime. People are not going to do it in front of them. They're going to do it somewhere else. So I think that we are moving in the right direction. But what I'm asking, because I'm hearing some things and seeing some things that show that we already have fractioning of people who are now trying to pick apart the work that has been done to move us forward. And that is not something that the trustees have already made their decision years ago in the direction that we wanted to move in. But if we don't have buy-in, if we don't work together on this, it will get picked apart and it will not happen. So for those of you who have decided that you know everything about safety and are sending all of these suggestions, I would ask that you please wait and listen to the plans that are being put forward. And when those plans come to the point where we need to vote or make a decision, if they don't include all of the factors that you think that we need, then let's start picking it apart. But right now, if we want to make this work, and we can make this work, we must continue to support the plan that we're putting on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Handy. Trustee Jenkins?
Thank you. I thank my colleagues for bringing this forward and transitioning us away from the sheriff. I have some questions on, sorry about that. I have some questions on how we're going to evaluate this contract. It's going to come back up in a year or so. And what metrics are in place to measure the effectiveness of our contractors and what they're doing? A question for staff: what kind of data are they going to be collecting so we can determine what services we're going to need going forward? And then I've heard a number of concerns from employees on specifically the Laney campus. And I was wondering if there's any way possible to have some kind of meeting with the contractors and the staff that has to be there so they can talk about the issues that are there. I know in Exhibit B, under pricing schedules, under transition and startup fees, there's language around meetings with stakeholders, and just wondering if that's possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Jenkins. I'm going to offer that up to the Chancellor to respond to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your questions, Trustee Jenkins. And absolutely, yes, we will be arranging for people to meet and discuss and give feedback on the plans, on the implementation, how we're going to address the concerns and needs. And part of that will also be to establish timelines for getting feedback, or what we call the assessment in accreditation language, to make sure that we're moving forward with what we need and what we expect. So we need to work together and define those discussion points and those points that we need for evaluation of success, and also to be able to decide whether or not, we need to modify, or course correct what we're doing. And it does not include, I should say, I would not anticipate it being something of a reversal. Rather, it would be more of a learning curve from an innovation. So you innovate, you learn, you innovate, you learn, and pretty soon now you have a working model. So definitely, absolutely yes to your questions.
Follow-up question. Do we have a timeline? Not do we have a timeline? If possible, can we get a meeting? I know there are tremendous concerns about the transition and the quickness that it's happening in. And if it's possible to get some kind of resolve or some kind of meeting with the staff that are going to be on campus before the Christmas break.
So the answer is yes. And we have basically a week from, say, tomorrow. Is tomorrow Tuesday? No, a week from Wednesday before we go on holiday break. And so we can put together a meeting, but it may be a little bit more, it might be beneficial to do that sometime after the first of the year, because our plan is from December 15th to December 31st to really get things moving forward. But it's not to say that we couldn't put together a meeting in the next few days. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trustee Gonzalez, UN.
Thank you. There are sometimes areas where it's really difficult to find agreement within our community, within the broader Peralta community, within the Board of Trustees. I think by and large, this isn't one of those areas where it's that difficult. I think there are some concerns that have been raised that when it comes down to it are going to be areas of clarification as opposed to big philosophical issues. Trustee Bonilla pointed out that this work has been moving forward for years, and for various reasons, when the Board of Trustees asked the administration to bring us alternatives, to bring us proposals, et cetera, those kept not being forthcoming. We kept being diverted. And so, year after year after year, we kept renewing the contract with the sheriffs, but I don't think there were very many people on the board who really wanted that to happen. But there's a long history in our district of really, pushing for other things. And I'll point out in particular that at Laney College, there's the Restoring Our Communities initiative, really looking at justice impacted communities, students formerly incarcerated, the whole range. And I think that what we understand is that notwithstanding the individual goodwill or intention of individual officers, that the criminal justice system as a whole is part of a broader system of racism in the society. And again, I'm not pointing fingers to any individual officers because I think that would be unfair and inaccurate. We've really been talking about a structure of domination that none of us is particularly happy with. Most of us have spent our lives resisting. And so I think the other part that's really critical to understand, in addition to understanding the long history in our district of trying to figure out how do we really serve our communities and how do we actively participate in the project of dismantling racism, I think it's really important to understand that where we are right now could not have happened if it had not been for the massive protests and demonstrations that overtook this country in the wake of that horrible public execution of George Floyd. Had not we seen the leadership of Black Lives Matter and other civil rights activists, we would not have been in the position where we just finally said, we're completely done with the sheriff. All of the proposals that had come forward before that had been, well, we hadn't gotten proposals. And so I think, this board owes a debt to the district as a whole, but also to the movement protesters who show up, sometimes seem really unreasonable and yelling at us and so forth. But, there's anger, and we happen to be the figures in authority. So sometimes it looks like we're the trouble. So, I want to thank everybody who's been involved in making this process happen. When the board voted to terminate the contract with the sheriffs, then Chancellor Stanback Stroud said that the transition could be done, that she needed 6 months to do that transition. And so we extended the sheriff's contract for another 6 months. And then we had quite a bit of chaos. And so if things have not rolled out perfectly, that's kind of understandable. We've had big gaps in the administrative continuity. And then on top of that, and I think this is really worth pointing out, we didn't have in place a highly functioning system of shared governance that would have the ability to capture all of the needs and wants and concerns of students, faculty, and staff. We do have a system of shared governance, but its functioning is very uneven. And so our primary advocates in this work have been Black Minds Matter, which is not an official part of the shared governance process. It's an incredible group of Peralta activists and community activists who put in their thoughts and minds together to figure this out. And they've come up with a really good starting blueprint, the action plan for holistic safety and wellness for the Peralta Community College District. If you haven't seen it, it's really worth going to look at. Even if you disagree with it, it's an amazing starting place. And that group took that document around and used the shared governance process to get approval, support from a range of shared governance groups, student governments, academic senates, et cetera. But that is not a substitute for a full, fair, transparent, democratic process. And I don't blame any individual person for that not happening perfectly. But when people are afraid or concerned because they don't know things, it's partly that we're in a pandemic. It's partly that we've got gaps in the administrative structure, but I don't think it's lack of goodwill. I think we're just juggling too many balls, and sometimes some of them fall. So I think, as has been noted, we caught a little bit of a silver lining with the pandemic. There are skeleton crews on campuses right now who we need to be thoughtful of. If they are concerned about safety, we need to listen carefully. We need to address those concerns. We need a bit more transparency on some of these transitions. But I think we have this incredible opportunity that all of us working together can pull off. I want to raise just two issues moving forward, understanding that this is a first iteration, that we're coming back to deal with the mental health part of it. We're coming back to deal with the shared governance part of it, like really have a real shared governance process here. But my question, and I'm not expecting this tonight, has to do with the budget. Trustee Withrow has raised this question of cost. I think other people have raised this question of cost. And we've not seen the overall thing. And then where are we going to be earmarking and pulling from to deal with other aspects of this plan that we think need to happen? So at some point, relatively soon, I think we need to see a bigger budget kind of look. And then the second thing is, I would like assurance from the administration. The Peralta Citizen reporters have been doing some pretty interesting investigative journalism. Right on. Love to see smart minds at work helping us do this work and be accountable. Thank you. But they've raised some issues regarding licensing, certifications, other issues around contracting. And I'd like to hear from the administration that you are adequately assured that the vendors that we're using, that we're about to vote on, have met all of the necessary licensing requirements and other legal requirements to engage in the public contract that we're about to vote on. And so hearing from the administration, what is your due diligence on this? There were questions raised about physical addresses of the businesses, licensing, principals, subcontractors, et cetera. What work have you done and what can you do to assure this board that we are in fact on the right path, and to assure our community at large that in fact we're on the right path? And again, thank you so much, everybody who's been involved in this work, regardless of how you come down on this. Your voice is really, really important here. So with that, I will end my remarks and ask for some response through the chair, please.
And I think you meant to the chancellor, not the administration, for that response, right?
I always
chancellor as our administrator.
But through the chair and the chancellor. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate hearing them and wanting to hear the assurances. Here's what I can assure you of. We have done the appropriate due diligence. We have checked each of the contractors' backgrounds and their readiness for completing this work and aligning their efforts with our goals. The process of selection was transparent. And so tonight, what we'll do, assuming these contracts are approved, is then move them through the next step, which is to receive all of their workman's comp, their insurance information, all of those pieces of materials that we have not received because we have not entered into a contract just yet. We are asking the board to approve the contracts. So that having been said, we have been assured that the licensing requirements, they meet all of them, that they meet the requirements for being fit and equipped to take on this work. We also know that they have been given the guidance that we will work with them in, I wouldn't say iterative, but I would say in phases. So we will move them, from today, for example, to sending them a letter of intent to award. And at that point, we provide them with a checklist of all of the things that they need to provide the district to cover the assurances that we need to make sure that they are ready. And once those are all in place, then we move into the phases that we've outlined. So moving from what we have with the sheriff to working together with them. And so it's not just a one fell swoop, as someone mentioned. But I feel very assured that we have done everything we need to do to be aware and know that we are covered as a district from the licensing aspect, from the Clery Act aspect, from making sure that we have legal and appropriate contractors in place to do this work.
Thank you for that. Do we have any other comments? I'm looking and I do not see any other comments. I'll just make one comment. As we know, this is an incredibly...
Trustee,
I'm sorry, Trustee. Yeah.
Was there any comment?
Had her hand up. Trustee Delphine Poole.
Go ahead. Ewan.
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor, for that. To kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, can you speak a little bit more to the criteria that was used to select these contractors?
The criteria, was basically that people were asked to respond to an RFP. They submitted their credentials. Those individuals were then put through those firms were put through a selection committee. The selection committee developed the criteria to evaluate each of the firms. And from there, the firms that were going to be interviewed were given a conflict of interest form to complete. And then once they were complete and evaluated, then they were interviewed And from that point, the offer to work with our district was extended to them, and that's how they've arrived onto our board agenda tonight.
I have a quick follow-up. In the event that they are not able to submit all of the documentation and insurance and et cetera, what would be the plan B if they were not able to do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the reason why I feel very strongly that Plan B won't be necessary is because these firms have been used to working in a pace that is a 24/7 type of operation. And so if they're unable to meet our deadline, I would be very surprised. However, should we find out in the next 2 days that that is something that we need to consider, we will come back to the board and discuss what possibilities are available. So.
Okay, thank you, Chancellor.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Trustee Polk. And I believe that there are no other questions in the queue. And I would just make a comment. This is an incredibly important and monumental transformation, right? A really, really, really big change. And as Trustee Handy had said, and also Trustee Jelena, this has been an ongoing discussion and desired goal for a long period of time, way before my time. But as Trustee Handy had said in the chat, about 6 years or so. And so this is fantastic, and it's great that we're at this particular point. But I think we also, because it wasn't a small feat, but I think we also need to understand that we did this incredibly expeditiously within a period of 6 months. We had asked for this to be done, and then within about 6 months or so, it was done. And given the expeditious nature of how large and comprehensive this transformation is, I think we also need to ensure, given its utter significance, that as Trustee Gonzalez had said, that it is going to be continually iterative, and as Chancellor had said, it's going to be phased in different processes, and it's going to be evolving, because we've got to make sure that every nuance, every part of this, and every element of this is exactly right and exactly correct. And as Trustee Jenkins had stated, with very specific benchmarks, frameworks, assessments, and analysis. So I'm excited about this because I think that this is incredibly good, incredibly great, and we need to make sure that we do it correctly. So with that, I'm just going to make a statement that doesn't need a response. I just want to be reassured, and I want our community to be reassured, and I think a couple of people have already stated this, that the contracts will be vetted and that will only move forward if the contracts meet state requirements regarding licensing and liability insurance. We need to make sure that we meet those state requirements. And I don't need a response, but I do want reassurance that that is the direction that we are going to be going. Thank you. And I believe that I have Trustee Handy in the queue.
Yes, I think that, well, I know. Our acting vice chancellor for general services is the one who could tell us specifically what the processes were for, I've heard the question asked, but not answered definitively. I think people would be feeling a little bit more secure if they understood what the process was. And I do believe that there was a process, there were committees. I believe that actually, I don't understand why we just didn't have her tell us, and that would put everyone at ease. I believe, knowing that this is not something, as you said, that happened overnight, but this is a process that has been vetted, and that, again, there were people that will have to meet those restrictions. But anyway, I'm not the one who could say it, but there is someone, the person who's done all the work, that we should be hearing from. Thank you.
You're on mute, President.
Oh.
Yeah.
We will move forward unless Chancellor, you have a response.
I think we're okay. We can move forward. Thank you.
I don't think it was clarified. I just want to go on the record for saying that people have a lot of questions, and I think that we could put them at ease with information rather than telling them that they will wait and see. There are processes that have been followed, and that information, not having that information is why people are offering us so many solutions all of a sudden and coming in. There are attacks that are coming in on this process, but I think that the staff is handling it very well and will continue to. But I think that more information rather than less is better as we move through this process. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Trustee Handy. All right, let us move on to the vote on 7.10. Consider approval of the independent contractor agreement for special services for community-based security services with Zulu Community Protection for the Merritt College and the College of Alameda campuses in the amount of $2,640,372. Roll call, please.
Yes, I have a motion from Trustee Bonilla, second from Trustee Gonzalez UN, and Trustee Withrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins.
Yes.
Trustee Handy.
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
Trustee Polk.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez UN.
Yes.
And Trustee Reese.
Yes, and I'm sorry for this last comment, but it just came to me. It might be possible for us to think about a presentation to kind of clarify at the next meeting. And I think that's already probably in the mind of the Chancellor, but just to put it out there. And yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, and motion passes.
Thank you for that, Ms. Jameson. Let us go to 7.11, and 7.11 is consider approval of the independent contractor agreement for special services with Marina Security Services Incorporated for dispatch and community-based safety and security services at the District Administrative Center in the not to exceed amount of $1,555,803,004.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, so we've got Trustee Withrow with the first motion and Trustee Bonilla with a second. Discussion? Okay, I hear, Linda Handy, Trustee Handy, is your hand raised from the previous question and comment, or do you have a
Yes,
question?
it should have been taken down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then I believe that we can move to the roll call. Thank you, Ms. Jameson.
Okay, we have Trustee Withrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins.
Yes.
Trustee Handy.
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
Trustee Polk.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez UN.
Yes.
And Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Wonderful, motion passes. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
President.
That's funny. 7.12, consider approval of the independent contractor agreement for special services for community-based safety services with AFAC Real Change Incorporated, DBA Community Ready Corps for the Laney College campus in a not to exceed amount of $2,016,000.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a first motion by Trustee Withrow and a second motion by Trustee Bonilla. Any discussion? I'm just going to maybe make, all right. Trustee UN, why don't you go first?
Again, I just want to reiterate the questions about certification, et cetera, that have been raised here now numerous times. Looking forward to the, kind of final sign off on the contract and the report of certification. I'm assuming that at that point, someone within the administration will be able to easily respond to the Peralta citizen questions that have been raised. And I think Trustee Handy is indicated that, staff has these questions. I think, I don't know that I need that here, although if the board were interested in hearing more detail about that background, I certainly have the patience. This is an important matter. But I do want to reiterate the importance of this. The eyes of, in some ways, the nation are looking at this district right now. We're doing something different. We're trying something dramatically different. Let's not be naive about this. There are going to be some people who just as soon that we fail at this, people who are really committed to a police state and can't imagine a different way of doing things. So we have to be very thoughtful about this. I think that what I've heard is that staff has done their work and they picked vendors and community partners who are absolutely solid, impeccable. That should be reflected in every possible way, of course, because people will be looking at this. So I'll just reiterate that. But I want to also reiterate that it's really critical that we use the process of democratic inclusion across the board in this, and that it won't be enough simply to do one forum and be done with this. I think that the challenges that we were hearing on our last meeting and tonight, where people are upset because they don't think that we're doing it right. Look, some people are always going to be upset, but I think that most people are pretty reasonable, and that if given the chance to hear information and to have their voices heard in a serious way, then everything goes better. And that process within the community college system is called shared governance. So I really hope that as we move us forward in this process and in our decisions about COVID and class scheduling, et cetera, that we will really respect those voices and those processes, and that we'll properly resource them. So again, I want to thank staff for their hard work in doing all of this. And with that, I will end my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez, UN. Maybe I'll go to Trustee Bonilla first, and then we can see how the Chancellor would like to respond.
So thank you for that. I wasn't going to bring this up, but I think it's such an important issue. When we talk about structural racism, we also have to think about economic opportunity beyond and above the individual, right? So as we are contemplating and approving and reviewing what is clearly opportunity for small local businesses of color, in particular Black-owned businesses, that it is not lost on us that the issue of licensure, the issue of business license, and the issues of procurement in and of itself are structurally embedded in ways that keep small businesses from having opportunities through procurement with public agencies as large as the community college. And I say this because I actually spent the last 6 months with the city of Oakland on the impact that COVID is having on small businesses, which is just revealing the fractures in an already unequal system. So we really need to think clearly about when we are demanding of a small business that is coming in, that is trying to do what they need to do in order to survive as a small local business in our community that we as a community college want to support. We need to think about what we're putting in place to coach them through, to pull them through, to assist them through the process. So we all need to think about this, the shared governance process, as you all are thinking about this. Think about what it is that procurement does and doesn't do that promotes and doesn't promote access to small local businesses in our community, which is who and what we want to support as an institution. So I'll just leave you with those thoughts as we are creating a brand new pathway for what safety and security and healthcare looks like in our community. We can be the beacon of light that shows how it could be done. We're not going to, and are we going to get it right, or is it going to be perfect? No, it's a process. It's a process, and that we all work together to promote and to support, because it's good for our students, because it's healthy for our students. So I'll just leave you with those thoughts as we contemplate and support this process, and that we all learn from each other as we move forward. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments going forward? Okay. First, generally, I am also going to, I just want to be transparent here. I am going to put forth a conflict of interest. One of the vendors, this particular vendor, I have endorsed, I've supported, and I've also donated and encouraged others to donate. So I just need to be taken out of this particular discussion and voting for that purpose, just for the sake of transparency, just so everybody is clear on that.
Which one was this for? The last one?
For this current one, which is 7.12.
Okay, so you did vote. So you taking back your vote on the yes on that last one?
We haven't voted for 7.12. We are on 7.12 right now. We haven't voted yet.
Just this item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, yes. So I'm just putting it out there for transparency, so I can't vote on this particular piece. I'll abstain. Any other comments out there, just to further the discourse?
Cindy, I'd like to get an opinion from our general counsel. In the past, if there's a need to recuse, they will advise us. You have put forth that you may have contributed to someone's campaign, that you have not benefited from that. So it's not necessarily a conflict of interest, but for legal purposes, that should be spoken, because you know, you contribute to people's campaigns. That's also documented. It's not a secret, and more than just one person has done it. So usually we ask for a legal opinion to see if you absolutely need to recuse from the vote, because there's no wrongdoing there.
Right, and I have, but if you would like to opine, Natasha, legal counsel.
Yeah, thank you for the question, President and Trustee Handy. Yeah, there was a request for the conflict of interest analysis on that question, and the conclusion was that there is not a conflict of interest for the very reasons that you stated, Trustee Handy. But as I always advise trustees, is on any time that you feel that you may not want to vote on an item that you know, because the standard is not only the legal standard, but also the standard of perception, and then your own comfort level, that you should always feel free to recuse yourself from any vote. So there is no legal requirement for a recusal for President Belarus on this item, but she's making a choice to do so. And it's for the very reasons that you stated, Trustee Handy.
Thank you, Natasha. Okay, let's proceed to the vote.
Trustee Bonilla, is your hand meant to still be up?
No, let me figure out how to get my hand down. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Trustee Polk?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Reed?
Recusal.
Writing motion passes.
Okay. Let us move on to 7.1, I believe. So 7.1 is consider approval of the institutional self-evaluation reports for all 4 colleges: Laney College of Alameda, Berkeley City College, and Merritt College.
Move for approval.
Moved.
Our first motion is by Trustee Bonilla and our second by Trustee Withrow. Discussion? Trustee Gonzalez, you win?
I think it would be at the very least, a little rude if we did not acknowledge the extraordinary amount of work that has gone into these reports. And the board and the district as a whole and the community has debt here that probably can never be paid because we don't pay you enough for this. But I'll just express my personal thanks for this work, and let us cross our fingers and hope that your colleagues, President Napoli of Belarus, you have nothing to do with this decision, that your colleagues look favorably upon these reports. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments? I see a couple comments. Trustee Bonilla.
Yes. So I want to echo Trustee Gonzalez's acknowledgement of the amount of work that went into creating these ICERs. I also want to think back fondly and thank all 4 college presidents for your amazing presentations that you gave us, and TikTok video, if I recall correctly, about these reports. So, you know, I just need to be able to, I just want to be able to thank you profusely from the bottom of my heart and know that your lives have been nothing but ICERs and the special report. I get it. We get it. So congratulations on submitting these reports. You know, I've always said a good report is a done report, and you all are done for this part.
That's right. Any other comments? Chancellor, could you let us know when the team will be visiting? Is it this week for the special report, not for?
Yes, thank you. Yes, the team, we're having a virtual site visit on, I want to make sure I have my days right, Wednesday and Thursday. We have not received a final itinerary, but we sure hope to receive one soon. We do not expect it to be 2 days full of meetings, but we are looking forward to meeting with the team.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I believe at this particular point we're at a vote, and again, like my other colleagues, I echo the sentiments. It takes a community and more to be able to do this, because it's all of your friends and spouses, and we take you away from them for you to be able to do the hard work. And I'm also hoping that above all, we have really kind of built this community as you are writing the ISERs, and that we've learned from it, because that's what these ISERs are about, right? Continual reflection, reassessment of the great things we do, as well as the areas where there is room for growth. So I commend you all, and I look forward to both our special report visit and look forward to our March visit. Okay, let's take a vote.
Okay, Trustee Withrow.
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins.
Yes.
Trustee Handy.
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
Trustee Pope.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez, you win.
Yes.
And Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Motion passes.
Thank you for that, Ms. Jamison. Now let's go on to 7.2, consider second reading and approval of proposed board policy BP 4235. Motion?
Move for approval.
Move approval.
Great. Trustee Bonilla for a first motion and Trustee Withrow for a second. Discussion? All right, if there's no, Trustee Bonilla, this is a residual hand, right?
Yes, I'll put it down.
All right, let us move to roll call vote, please.
Okay, Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan, Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
okay, and Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. Let us move to 7.3, consider approval of Oracle annual support contract license renewal for PeopleSoft enterprise applications in the amount of $312,891.83 and online approval delegation. Motion? Do we have a motion? So that we can
I'll move it. Mhm.
Trustee Bonilla, do we have a second so that we can discuss? Do we have a second on 7.3?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a first motion by Trustee Bonilla, second motion by Trustee Gonzalez Yuan, and now let's have our discussion.
I'm raising my hand. I can't, my computer is not working well.
I was looking for your hand, Trustee Handy. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we all know the stress that we went through the final week before Trustee President Stanbeck Strout resigned, and it was over this contract. And the only reason we accepted this contract, the only reason that I changed my mind and voted for this contract was because of the assurances that maybe the 300,000 annual fees that we're paying were going to be included in that $6.7 million. It is a public record. It is on Granicus. They said it themselves. Our IT person said it themselves. And then here we come. This is the second hit. And even though I have been asking for the total cost of operations for over 3 months, I have submitted and requested, how much money are we spending for outside staffing because we don't have a CIO? I asked who is going to be reviewing the contract for PeopleSoft because having been involved in technology for many, many years, I know how the game is played. I asked who was going to be reviewing the contract to make sure that everything that we asked for was included. And we were going through a transition period. So really no fault for anyone other than the fact that we did not hire an outside technology specialist, at least not that I know, because no one will give me the accounting of the cost of operation since we have already agreed for this $6.7 million. People, we have spent over $50-some million, and I sound like an old record because every mistake that we have made, it was not because it wasn't brought forward. Peralta has the system that it has because of our inability to act or believing in people who are not doing what they need to do. Now, in this case, we had great assurances that that would be the end of that we would move forward, even though we know that our system is going to be antiquated within 10 years. It won't, Oracle won't even be supporting it. We had assurances that we would get what we needed. And now we do not have a CTO. I have sent in a message saying that our posting, that the board agreed to a CTO position, but what we posted was a CTO and an information system, which is a CIO system person. So we still are not moving in any direction. And what we have now is a company that did not fulfill their deliverables for the contract that completed in 2018. In fact, when I brought it up, when we had our, when we were looking at this, the salesperson that came to speak and sell it to us wasn't even aware that Oracle already had a contract with us and that they had not delivered on that contract. I warned the board over and over again, and I warned our chancellors that if we do not have a technology person reading that contract, not a general counsel. General counsel reads the contract for legalities, not for context, that we would not get what we want. So now I'm hearing that the systems are not working. The student systems are not working. They're getting triple billed. We are supposed to be in a different place. Oracle is doing exactly what I said they were going to do. They are no longer putting their high polished salespersons on this, but they are now sending their lowest level employees to implement our contract because there is no oversight, because there's no one in technology with the ability to do that. Now, that being said, over and over again, the article, the chart that I'm looking at that I was referring to, that was done by David Rowe and in The Citizen, it shows here that they are now asking us the revised cost for November 2020 is $9.4 to $9.9 million, where the original offer to us in May of 2020 was $6.3 million. So what I'm asking you to not do is vote to give another $300,000 of taxpayers' money that we have already been promised were part of the contract that we gave in May. And there's no way we would have gone for a $6.3 million contract last May if they had not told us that the last million was basically the licenses that we were going to be requiring for those 5 years. And on top of that, now we have a totally different cost for the third phase. And the phase 3, that's the 1.5 to 2 million for phase 3, which we're not, it's being scoped. It's not being initiated. We haven't gotten the first 2 phases done. So there is no rush to do this. I think we should bring it to another meeting where we have our advisors who have gone through these contracts and tell us how we got to a place within 6 months of not having what we agreed to pay for, when we have all been very, very vigilant about this. So it's for us to protect our interests and not keep following our old plans where we buy the sales story and then they do a bait and switch and send us someone else, and then they tell us, oh, we can't do this, and then they come back and hit us with change orders and change orders. They haven't even brought a change order yet. Right now, they're just hitting us with licensing fees that were included in the $6.3 million agreement. So what I'm asking my colleagues to do is to give ourselves time to do due diligence, move this over to next month, where we actually have not any smoke and mirrors, dollars to donuts. I want to see what that contract was, how it got changed, when it got changed. Tell us how we now are paying for something that was not in part of that agreement. And I don't think that's an unreasonable request. And I don't think our taxpayers would think that that's an unreasonable request. And I don't think our students would think it's unreasonable, because if we're not cracking down and holding Oracle responsible, then we get what we have right now. And our students are not going to give you a glowing review of the process. They're getting double and triple billed as they try to do their things online. And another thing is, again, if we even looked at what are our help desk calls coming in? What are the problems that we're having? Oracle works for us. We don't work for them. We need to know that they're doing what we're paying them to do, or hold them accountable, or break the contract. But at this point, it is ridiculous to put this amount of money in without us doing our due diligence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Handy. That was very important to hear. Chancellor, I'm going to give that to you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And thank you, Trustee Handy, for your comments. What I would, I'm sorry. What I'd like to offer to the board in regard to your question is that this is an ongoing annual fee that is part of the work that is being done with Oracle. It is not included. It was not included in the contract that the trustees signed at the special meeting in May. We are required to move forward with this piece of the contract that we have with Oracle in order for us to have the service level that we currently enjoy with Oracle, whether it's a service level that one would appreciate or not. It is part of the contract, and it has been delayed for approval since November. In November, at the November board meeting, which was November the 10th, and I recognize that we've had fewer board meetings in November and technically in December, but the question was brought at that time, and as your result, staff have prepared a document which was sent as a one-way communication that outlined all of the costs, and included in that communication links to the contract that was approved by the board in May, which outlines this particular fee of $312,000 for the service maintenance and licensing for PeopleSoft. So what we sent was a list of everything that we've done in the district and what was to go forward. And so we presented the information on phase 1 and phase 2. We talked about what might need to happen in phase 3. So we have done the work that's necessary to move this item forward, and we would be remiss, we would not be able to continue the services that we have with Oracle should the board not move forward with this item tonight.
I have a follow-up question. So if I understand this correctly, Chancellor, what you're telling us is that this scope of work here, which is completely tied to licenses, is an annual fee that the district has been paying annually for however long we've had the Oracle contract. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct.
And that in order for, thank you, and that in order for the other contract, which is, I forget how many millions of dollars, Trustee Handy, you just said it, in order for that work to continue, we need to make sure that our licenses are updated. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I just needed to clarify that. Thank you. I have no other questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions in the queue? If not,
I do.
Looks like UN and Handy both.
Okay. Trustee Gonzalez, UN, and then Trustee Handy after that.
Thank you. I think part of the problem with this situation is that as a board, we've been just misled for so many, many, many years around a range of technology issues. And, you know, this is Trustee Handy and I may bump heads frequently, but on this particular issue, we often align. And this is one area, Linda, where I really value that you keep your eye on the ball. And what's challenging for us is that we often don't get like a full-blown picture with budgets that are complete. Like, this is our total technology costs. Here's the line item. Here's what it's going to do. Here's when we spent it, or here's when we're going to spend it. And instead, we often get this stuff kind of piecemeal. And so it's confusing as a layperson who does not know technology, doesn't understand these systems, completely 100% reliant on the experts to tell us what to do. It's very difficult when we have board meetings where we ask questions like, is this all inclusive? And then you get answers like, and I need to go back and look at the recording, you get answers more like, yes, this is all inclusive. And if you sign this contract, we'll be saving all of this money that won't be charged.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got this other thing that is like, okay, was that included in the list, or was that just held aside, or was that like a completely unrelated process that is now, when it's coming to us, it's like, yeah, but, and we're also going to pay for, you know, blue phones, or I shouldn't use blue phones because that's such a bad, nightmarish example. But you know what I mean? Like, this is just completely unrelated, because it sounds like this isn't completely unrelated. It sounds like this is in fact intricately related. And so it sounds like this is something where we got potentially ripped off. And so I feel like Charlie Brown coming up to the football again, 20 years, you know, 16 years running now, where we made the decision to go with PeopleSoft. And it's like, has this ever, ever, ever worked out for us? No, never, never, never. And so, Chancellor, here's my question. And, you know, and I think this is the other problem, is this rotating set of administrators. So, you know, you weren't in that seat when we were making this decision before. So, but here's the real question. If in fact we did what Trustee Handy asked for, is like, here, pause. Let us have an hour where we, in fact, pull out the Gantt charts, we pull out the budgets, all of us have an opportunity to go and review the film. You know, we go back and hear from, you know, General Counsel Warden, you know, his assurances that this contract was bulletproof, et cetera, et cetera. If in fact we waited, would there be, in fact, some irreparable harm to the district if we waited until January and came back and considered this? Would there be irreparable harm?
It can't be.
That's my question through President Napoli-Bella-Reese to the Chancellor.
Wow, it is hard to actually use a bathroom as board president because I had to do it very quickly. Oh, goodness gracious. Chancellor, do you want to quickly respond to that?
Yes, it was due in September, and we have delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. It will do irreparable harm because we won't be able to keep moving. And if we can't keep moving, we can't, you know, I mean, it isn't a question of whether or not the board. I think the question is more along the lines of recalling what was presented in May, because I have the presentation here that shows, you know, what was not included, so to speak. And I do recall the time of May when this was coming forward. But this piece is not something that we really have a choice at this point if you want to keep the district operating with its systems in Oracle.
This is licensing.
Okay, Let us do, I believe that there's nobody in the queue besides Trustee Handy. Let's do Trustee Handy, and then we need to vote. But yes, go ahead, Trustee Handy.
What we're talking about is licensing fees, not operational fees. This is $300 and some thousand. We have a $6.3 million investment that should not be stopping. That is barely underway. I would say, first of all, we need a legal analysis. We all know what we were told. Now, if the reality is that something else was negotiated after the board was given assurances, then let's just say that. And that, oh, it was a mistake or somebody dropped the ball, and that's not. But we were told that the licensing was part of the 6.3 million. Otherwise, I would have said no. I live on a very, very tight budget, and I agree to spending the district's money like I spend my own. And I was an adamant no, that it was not worth the money that it was contracting out until we were given the figures of the licensing fees that were going to be included. So when I looked at those over a 5-year period, then I had to agree with Vice Chancellor Warden, yes, okay, I see now where this makes sense. Otherwise, it doesn't. But the world has stopped for the next 2 weeks. We come back into our board meeting in January. I don't think that Oracle is going to walk from us for 600 and some when we're trying to hold them accountable for the deliverables of 6.3 million. If anything, Oracle should be here giving us assurances. Now, there is no technology specialist employed by the district that can tell us what's happening. I have sat here on this board and had through 5 different CIOs tell us the sky is falling. We used to laugh about it all the time. Chicken Little was right, the sky is falling, but it didn't fall. The sky does not fall if we don't make a decision and put it over for 2 to 3 weeks from now. What does fall is the confidence that our public has in our fiduciary responsibilities when we keep getting suckered in by these type of these salesmen, these programs that are not giving us what we're paying for. Now, since I've been here since the inception, since the first PeopleSoft, and I know exactly how it went wrong. And every time it goes wrong, it's because of someone standing in front of us who says that they are the authority on it and that we absolutely have to do this. And what we had was a cycling group of consultants coming in and out, flying in on Monday, leaving on Thursday. We're paying for their housing, we're paying for them to fly in, and we did not get anywhere. There's nothing wrong with PeopleSoft, people. It's the implementation of PeopleSoft and the people part of it that we haven't the instructions for, that is a challenge. And that's why it was so important for us to move that so that we would have the student services module by now December. It was supposed to be December. And now that's not happening right now. They have not proven themselves to be people that we should just sign off on without doing our due diligence. And we have proven ourselves to be people who have not necessarily done our due diligence, or in spite of trying to do our due diligence, have been scammed. So what I'm asking is that we make sure that we don't pour any more money into something that we've already paid for, that we have exactly what we paid for. I have asked, starting in September, I want to see a spreadsheet of the full cost of operations since we do not have a CFO. I've talked to Trustee Angelina about it, and she asked me for clarification, but I haven't gotten that. So we are bleeding money and you don't even know about it. So Nikki, I'm glad to hear you saying that you want to hear and see just what the cost of operations is. But I asked for that cost of operation to be given to the entire board. What is the true cost of ownership? Because if we've already put in another $500,000 since March, when we walked our CIO out, and then we're going to do another 300, we're not doing our job properly. So I'm asking that you don't ask me to make a decision without the information. All that my job is to make financial decisions. And in order to do that, I ask that we be given all of the information that we need to do that. And that's where I'm getting resistance here. The sky is not going to fall between here and January, but confidence is going to.
Okay, thank you for that, Trustee Handy. I believe I have Trustee Jenkins in the queue.
Yeah, can the Chancellor speak more specifically as to what level of service we will not be receiving if we do not approve this item today? And yeah, if she could speak to that.
Chancellor?
So I think what people, we kind of don't remember, or we don't think about, is the fact that if you use Microsoft, for example, and you use Word or something like that, you pay a licensing fee to use the product. So we have the same thing with Oracle. If we don't do our licensing fee, which was due in September, we will lose the ability to continue to do our work, to do our journal entries, to do all of our accounting, our payroll, all of our processing that is done with Oracle. So, you know, I really empathize with the thought that all of this was going to be included in the May 29th decision. But if you go back and you look at it, it clearly says the license fee is not included. And I empathize, and I remember the stress and the strain of that time around this. So I understand the concerns, and I understand that there's been a lot of, you know, money spent. There's going to be money yet to be spent, but we really cannot operate without our licensing for our Oracle system in the district. And even when we're not on campus or not in the offices, the systems are operating while we're working from home or we're on holiday or what have you. So it's really not a good idea to delay not moving forward with this item.
Thank you. And Trustee Gonzalez, UN.
Madam President, I would suggest we move to a vote on this item and request that the administration ask their staff to document this statement that Chancellor just made. If this is in fact the case, we you know, then we're disappointed but mistaken in regard to what our expectations could have been. And one way or another, we are eventually going to pay this licensing fee. And if it's in fact not, if in fact representatives of Oracle made promises, verbal or otherwise, then we have legal recourse to deal with that. So I would suggest we move to a vote on this question and resolve this later. It's not as though we are never going to pay this fee. And if in fact we're not legally required, then our attorneys will tell us such and will make sure we are made whole. But our vote tonight isn't going to determine that. This is a question of law and fact.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Gonzalez UN. Can we move to roll call vote, please? Madam Board Clerk?
Yes, sorry, I got something wrong there. Okay.
No.
Okay, Trustee Jenkins.
Abstain.
Okay, Trustee Handy.
No, and regardless of the vote, I'd like to still see that meeting happen in January where the board is informed instead of session. Thank you.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
and Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you for that, Madam Board Clerk. Let's go to 7.4. Consider approval of the design build agreement with Gilbane Building Company for the design and construction services for the Laney College Central Utility Plant upgrade project in the amount of $1,453,115.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Trustee Withrow, first motion, Trustee Bonilla, second motion, discussion. All right, if there is no discussion on this topic, let's move to a vote.
Okay, Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
and Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Wonderful. Motion passes.
Thank you. Let's go to 7.5. Consider approval of academic faculty personnel items. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Could we deal with this and the next two items in the same motion, 7.5, 6, and 7?
Agree.
I accept.
Great.
Okay, so we have a first motion by our acceptance of that friendly amendment by Trustee Withrow and seconded by Trustee Bonilla. Shall we vote on that? Putting together
Yes.
7.5, 7.6, and 7.7.
Okay, Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Polk,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Okay,
And
item.
Sorry, go ahead.
Item 7.5, 7.6, and 7.7 are all motion passes for those three.
Thank you, Madam Board Clerk. Let's go to 7.8. Consider approval of 3 new positions for Berkeley City College funded by Title V DHSI CLC grant.
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, Trustee Gonzalez Yuan, second. A discussion on this?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, Trustee Gonzalez Yuan.
The position for the management position, the director of the Hispanic Serving Institute program, is the reason that we are creating this as a management position rather than as a classified position or a faculty position, is that a statutory or a grant requirement? And if it's not, is there a particular reason that we require a management position here rather than a classified or faculty position?
Chancellor, would you like to take that question and direct it to Dr. McKinley if needed?
I think I would prefer to direct it to Dr. Garcia.
Okay, sorry.
Speak clearly to it.
The position for the HSI director comes along with having a 5-year grant. The fiscal oversight for this particular HSI grant really calls for often reporting, supervision of staff and faculty, collaboration with community partnership, and engagement with the federal offices, which usually puts the classification at a management level position. So this particular position would be in line with the requirements as asked by the grant, as well as preserving the contract agreements that we have across our district for labor distribution and the types of tasks and responsibilities put upon the director.
Thank you for that response.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions in the queue? Okay, and may I just ask one more question, Chancellor, and maybe this goes to President Garcia. As these are going to be funded by our grants, and I'm looking specifically at the director, which I believe is a full-time position, will the contract then be for the duration of the grant and only for the duration of the grant?
You mean the selected individual contract?
Right. Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, the contract will be as the pleasure of the board. If it's for, 2 years, a year, or what have you.
I guess maybe my undergirding question is really more of, it is the grant funds that we're using to pay the director. And as much as we need this, it would be great if it was beyond the grant. And so will the director be only within the constraints of the particular grant? And maybe we don't even know that at this particular point because the grant may be renewed.
Well, let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
We have not talked about institutionalizing the position with this grant. We have not anticipated that. However, I will ask Dr. Garcia if she has any further thoughts on that, because I'm pretty sure that it's not an institutional position.
Thank you. Yes. So President Napolia Bellaris, this particular position, the grant is the first time that Berkeley City College is being awarded an HSI grant. And so we do not have the infrastructure for this position. The grant is for the 5-year duration. And as such, when working with the team, we would advertise and support that it's a grant funded position. Of course, as we near completion of the grant, we either do what we always do, which is see if the college and our work and efforts are eligible for new considerations that are grant funded. The second being taking the institutionalization process at the college level to see if the position rises to a level of prioritization. Or third, which is the more kind of sadly version, is no, we're not able to continue with this position, but certainly as a recently HSI designated institution, this is going to be something that I think will be important and critical for BCC to serve our local growing Latinx population.
Fantastic and great to hear, and congratulations on the first time on the HSI grant.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I believe there are no more questions in the queue. If that is the case, shall we move to a vote on this?
Absolutely. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Trustee Polk?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. Trustee Gonzalez Ewan?
Yes.
And Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Great, motion passes.
Okay, and I believe that we are at our last item. 7.9, consider approval of the list of firms to provide architectural services district-wide. Motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Trustee Bonilla, thank you for the first motion. Trustee Withrow, thank you for the second motion. And discussion? Once again, I don't see anybody in the queue, so I believe we can go to roll call.
Okay, Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Okay, Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Trustee Polk?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all. Motion passes. And we do have one additional item.
Yes, I missed that.
3, yes.
So 7.13, consider acceptance of the District Administrative Center and Laney College Proposition 39, multi-site lighting upgrade project and release of retention to Hall Pass Capital Incorporated, DBA Gone Lead. Motion for this item?
Motion. Second.
Who's my first?
Withrow.
Trustee
Withrow
Withrow.
approved. Bonilla second.
Thank you. Discussion? Okay, I see no discussion. Roll call, please.
Yes, Trustee Withrow.
Yes.
Okay, Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy,
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla,
Yes.
Trustee Pope,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Ewing,
Yes.
and Trustee Reese.
Yes.
So motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. And it is 10:21 and we are at 8.1 Board of Trustee reports. Let's start off with, I don't have any tiles in front of me. Board Clerk, do you want to just start off with?
Sure. Trustee Withrow,
Pass.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yeah, can we just get communication on the cancellation of sports, and maybe if that can be sent out to the trustees, that'd be great.
okay, got it. Trustee Handy,
Yes, it was a very uncomfortable week with lots of calls from people distressed about our choices, not our choices, the choice to abruptly, preemptively stop our programs. I talked to colleges from CCLC up and down the state asking, where was this a mandate? Is anyone else doing it? And they were shocked at how this had gone down. I feel really terrible for all of our students because we don't really have the venue. I was cut off in my comments, their coaches were cut off. And here as a sitting trustee, I still do not feel that I have clarity on are we moving forward, because personal things aside, we all wake up to COVID warnings. You can't even turn your TV on without it being there. We all live in fear, but the world continues to go on, putting into place procedures to protect our families, our businesses, and our workplace. And for us, our students, we were not negligent in that in any way. I don't think our personal fears as trustees or administrators should enter into this. It should be what our state is mandating, and no vagueness about what and when should be given out, because a student cannot make a determination on where they're going to live, their next meal, and where their finances come from on vagueness. If this is something that is happening across the state, then everyone is in the same predicament, and the solutions will be coming out to support all of our students. If we take this individual action, then we won't have a state mandate that will support our students who miss out on transferring, are not able to move to another division, and or whose lives are put on hold waiting for us to give them specifics. We are the administrators, we are the trustees, and I don't ever want to have to hear from people the distress and the tears and the frustration and their passion for the support of students that happened last week. I personally was on the phone till 1 o'clock in the morning last Tuesday, because trying to understand what had taken place. I also, you know, that I'm out there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, every Tuesday and Thursday since May, handing out meals. And again, we're talking to students, we're talking to faculty members, because this decision will also impact our faculty members. As I said before, without the students, there's no need for us. If we don't have athletics, then we won't have our coaches. We won't have a lot, because they go with it. So I want us all to be professional. And again, I was absolutely distressed that I was the only one that was speaking out and that others were quiet. Well, in this day and age of racism and all the things that happen, we know that to be quiet is to be complicit. Our voices are to be heard so that our students will trust us and that we can trust each other. So my comment from the public is, I still don't know any more than I knew last week. And I know that for me personally, I don't make my schedule based on a woulda, coulda, shoulda. I have to know for a fact. And our students are professional, they're working, they're parents, they're family members. They deserve to know, and it is our job and responsibility to let them know. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Brown. I'm sorry, Trustee Gonzalez, you in?
Thank you. I want to be really clear about one thing, and I'd like General Counsel to opine on this. The reason that I did not respond to public comment is it's my understanding that it is unlawful for this board to engage in extended comment on issues that are not on the agenda. We can engage in very brief responses. And so I don't think that it's an accurate statement to say that the rest of the board doesn't care about these matters. It's not on the agenda. But I would like to ask General Counsel for clarification on this, because if in fact this is a permissible area of discussion, I have quite a bit to say on this matter.
It is not a permissible area of discussion. Only items that have been agendized properly on the board agenda and posted 72 hours in advance can be discussed in a board meeting. The public, members of our public can absolutely comment on anything that's within the district's jurisdiction. And the public comment section of the meeting is specifically intended to allow for public comment on items that are not agendized. So the trustees, of course, in your own trustee reports, for you to comment, trustee reports are intended to be brief comments that generally reflect on things and activities that you are engaging in exercise of your trustee duties. That is the typical use of a trustee report. But brief statements or brief requests for more information or things like that are also customary in a trustee report. It would be inappropriate for you to engage in a dialogue back and forth around anything that's non-agendized.
Thank you. And so I want to clarify on this matter. I think many of us have quite a bit to say. I look forward to this being agendized, particularly on a report on enrollment management or some other appropriate place. Having said that, I have no report for my own activities right now. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Reese.
I believe I'll go last.
Okay. Trustee Bonilla.
I will pass, thank you. Well, actually, let me just officially welcome our two trustees to their first official meeting. And then I also want to wish all of the students well during finals. I want to wish all of the faculty, administration, and staff happy holidays, since this is our last meeting of the year. And everyone be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Trustee Polk.
Thank you. Yes, this is my first official meeting with Peralta Colleges. I'm very excited to be representing Area 6 and looking forward to working with all of you in the coming year. Thank you.
Great. And Trustee Reese.
And I'm just going to make mine brief again, just to thank you to, again, our incoming trustees, to further echo the sentiments of Trustee Bonilla, but also to wish everybody a wonderful, extraordinarily different and unique holiday season. Keep safe, keep healthy, and thank you all for the hard work that you've been putting forth. And let's hope that 2021 brings us a different season and a different era at this difficult time. That's it. And I believe that brings us to the end of our board trustee reports. And Monsieur Vice President, would you like to discuss or give us the announcements for the evening?
Is that in contrast to Madam President?
Yes, I don't know what else to say. Should I just stop saying Monsieur? Should I just say Vice President?
I don't know. We'll have to
talk to Fred.
Council. There's probably some legal ruling.
Yes.
There are a few announcements. Let's see. Upcoming holiday dates this month where the district is closed, even more closed than it is now. Thursday, December 24th through Friday, January 1st, 2021. Yes, it is going to happen, 2021. That's our winter holiday closure. Our first board meeting of the new year will be on Tuesday, January 5th. So don't do too much drinking on the 1st. And the Peralta College's holiday soiree, presumably socially distanced and digital, will be on Monday, December 21st from 5:30 to 6:30, and it will be brought to you by the Peralta Colleges Foundation and the Peralta Community College District. And I'm presuming details will be forthcoming if we're all to enjoy this soiree. Black tie is presumably optional. I have no other announcements. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I believe that we are done with our meeting this evening. Move to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Sure. I think you can announce that one.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for this evening. And we will see you in 2021.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.